Safeway stores.
In our world, engineering and imagination know no boundaries. Introducing CorelDRAW 6, the complete 32-bit graphics suite exclusively for Microsoft Windows 95. Only CorelDRAW 6 delivers 5 graphics applications, 8
of gray, the boring midtones found between black and white. The definition of the Grey Cup, the Great Canadian Party. It's time to stand up and get passionate about your country, its traditions, its future. One of these great traditions is football played the way it was meant to be, radically Canadian. The Canadian Football League. It's hard-hitting, it's longer, wider, faster football. Every game is an event, a party. More importantly, it's our game and we won't change it for anyone. The CFL, radically Canadian and proud of it. Now you too can be a radical Canadian by wearing radical hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and golf shirts, all from Starter Canada. Get radical from only $19.99. Call 1-800-545-5757. These items aren't available in any store. The only way you can get radical is to call now. Dare to be different. Get radical. Be Canadian. The Canadian Football League. It's radically Canadian. Call 1-800-545-5757 now.
Hey, Katie. Hey, Marianne.
Hi.
What's up, Sandy? Hey, Lisa. Hey, Jennifer.
Hi.
What's up, Linda?
Hey, guys.
Huh. Whoa. Hey, you notice anything kind of different about the girls this semester?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, they're all wearing that Pepsi stuff. Huh.
Now, drink a lot of Pepsi, collect a lot of points, get a lot of cool stuff.
I love this school. Uh-huh.
Great football. Great software. Join the winning team. It's unbeatable.
CFL Live from Montreal. The first meeting between the Blue Bombers and the Alouettes. Both the Alouettes and the Blue Bombers are coming off huge wins in Week 4. Tonight, Montreal owner Jim Sparrows has promised the Alouettes will win their first game at Olympic Stadium. Montreal coach Bob Price doesn't need the extra pressure of guaranteed win night. He has to hope for another great night from the defense. Winnipeg's Cal Murphy won his first Grey Cup as an assistant coach in Montreal in 1977. The Bombers are coming off their best performance of the season last week in Edmonton. Almost ready to get out underway at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The Blue Bombers' Troy Westwood will kick it off. Two deep for the Montreal Alouettes, including Tyrone Rush and Dexter Dawson. Westwood had the big night a couple of weeks ago against the BC Lions. 2 field goals in the final 24 seconds to win for the Blue Bombers.
His last field goal, of course, coming on the last second in BC.
0-0 on the clock. It's 2 for 1 night at Montreal. Looks like we're going to have a Pretty good crowd on hand at Olympic Stadium. Two for one everything.
2 for 1 night. I'm buying after the game.
Sounds like a plan. Still waiting on Troy Westwood to get the evening underway. And we're all set now. Dexter Dawson back at his 5-yard line. Nice return going. Only out to about the 30, but it's a 25-yard return. Tonight's starting lineup brought to you by Corral. Montreal quarterback Tracy Ham fired 3 touchdowns in the second half against BC last week to get the Owls in the win column for the first time. Nigel Williams had a big game in BC and starts outside with Joe Kralik for the first time. Jock Climby moving inside the slot with Chris Armstrong. Tyrone Rush gets his first start at running back, and that's along with Michael Souls in the Montreal backfield. First and 10, Alouettes beginning right on the 30-yard line. Flags are down on the first play. Ham connects with Michael Souls. What did you spot there, Glenn?
Well, I didn't really quite see exactly what happened on the play. It looks like it was offside Winnipeg, according to Jake Ireland. So, of course, Montreal will decline that.
Offside. Winnipeg number 48. Line. First down.
Charlie Clemens was offside. So Tracy Ham will take the first down as the Alouettes move out to the 42 on a 12-yard gain by Michael Souls. This time the pitch to Tyrone Rush. He broke 1 tackle and grabs a couple of yards.
Well, defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers up front, Kenny Walker joins the team from the Calgary Stampeders, and John Crockby starts in the middle. K.D. Williams, the big play guy for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at linebacker. Greg Clark is no slouch at the other side, and Angelo Snipes is the pure rush guy. And DBs, Shannon Garrett replaces Damian Lyons on the corner, and Greg Frères gets the start at safety.
And there's the big guy, number 44. A.D. Williams for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The gain was 4, 2nd and 6. Alouettes out across the 45 and the 46. Ham under pressure stands up and can't quite connect out near the 45. Tight coverage by Greg Frères.
Well, Greg Frères did a nice job of picking up Armstrong coming across the middle. Ham bought a little bit of time, and Frères comes up with the big play. I mentioned to him before the game, said starting to get a little bit more comfortable playing full-time at the safety position in Calgary. He was in a backup role.
He was a free agent who joined the Winnipeg Blue Bombers just for that, to get a little playing time. Baker just got it away. He spun around. And the return is about 4 yards. After a 40-yard Terry Baker punt. Reggie Slack relieved Kent Austin last week and got the win in Edmonton. He gets his second start of the season in this one tonight. The outside receivers are Mike Stiegel and Shannon Baker. Gerald Wilcox will be missed. Alan Boyko and Myron Wise will start at the slots this week. And in the backfield, Rendall Jackson and Dean Lytle. Slack keeps it on the ground for a couple. That was Jackson.
Well, the defense for the Montreal Alouettes, led by Grant Carter, had the huge game against the BC Lions in their first win with a couple of sacks, and Gary Rogers also had a couple of sacks in that game. Paul Randolph anchors the middle, and at the corner, Irv Smith plays one side. Douglas Kraft, coming over from Calgary, has the other.
Gain is 2. This will be 2nd and 8 at the Bombers' 37. Slack has a little time and goes deep. And not quite for Myron Wise, number 89. Coverage on the play by Harold Nash, 0-0. Didn't miss by much.
Well, Myron Wise was looking for the penalty on this play. Thought Harold Nash had a little bit of interference as he went down the seam. You're going to see it, the second seam coming to the left of your screen, and you see a little bit of pushing and shoving just as the ball arrived. And I don't know, Myron Wise may have had an argument there, but if there's no call, I used to say as a defensive back, there's no foul.
Bob Cameron turned 42 last week, averaging 44 yards a punt, and standing back near his 25. Dexter Dawson for Montreal. He'll field it at the 26. Good spin move as Dawson takes off. He's out across midfield and down at the 50-yard line. Alouettes were looking for better special teams play. They got a 35-yard return there.
Men in speed stick salutes the guy who stays late, even after a game of pickup. For long-lasting odor protection, Speed Stick, it just won't quit. By Menon.
As if you need another reason to go to the Keg Steakhouse.
Introducing the Keg's really cool car contest. Visit the Keg Steakhouse and Bar between June 24th and August 4th and fill out a ballot to win a 1929 Model A hot rod or a Keg gift certificate.
For all those kids who need someone to look up to, we created the Spirit of Canada Fund. The Spirit of Canada Fund sends Olympic athletes to schools across Canada. And when you buy a set of commemorative long-distance phone passes, $5 will go toward helping our kids, toward inspiring them, motivating them, and giving them someone to look up to, in every sense.
Men in speed stick salutes the guy who stays late, even after a game of pickup. For long-lasting odor protection, Speed Stick, it just won't quit. By Menon.
Katie Williams of the Blue Bombers, defensive player again, second time this season for week 4.
Also does a good job on these special teams. He does such a good job on special teams, it takes two guys to block him. David Pitcher, one of them down there doing the bear hug, trying to keep Katie Williams out of the play.
Good field position for Tracy Ham. No scores so far in Montreal. 1st and 10. Alouettes at the Bomber 50-yard line. Ham back in a hurry to buy a little time. Now he scrambles to get out of there, and he can't get away. First sack of the ball game. Angelo Snipes celebrating down there, but he had a little help as Ham was stumbling by the time he got to him.
Angelo Snipes is right here in the middle of your screen. He's got responsibility is contain upfield. He has to stay in that contained position, but when Ham gets flushed out of the pocket, that flushes him right to Angelo Snipes. He says thank you very much and falls on him for the sack.
– 15 yards the loss. 2nd and 25. Facing Ham now. Another charge. Ham got it away. Jock Climby has his first catch. Climby had a decent week last week. 3 for 51. And he's inside. Is he more comfortable there?
Well, that's exactly where he likes to play. Inside receiver. When he was in Ottawa all those years, he played from the slot back position. This year at the beginning of the season for Montreal, he was out at the wide receiver position. Now it's Joe Kralik at wide receiver. Climby back at his comfortable slot back.
Terry Baker set to kick to Shannon Baker. Baker has trouble with it, and it's blocked, at least partially so. Blue Bombers are on the ball quickly. And Baker is hurt. He bobbled the snap from center, and then took a pretty good hit. Guess who was involved?
Well, Katie Williams is one fired-up customer for this football game. That guaranteed win night was something that he was pretty fired up with, and he's from the left of your screen, going to come straight in pretty much untouched. And you see when Baker fumbles the snap, he's free game to be hit now. There's no roughing the kicker. Once he fumbles that snap, he has to go down low to get it. Should have had it, was looking upfield, didn't have his eyes on the ball, and Katie Williams has full right to lower the boom on the kicker.
And he did. That punt traveled 8 yards. Baker is still down. Nailed by Katie Williams.
Now, I just talked to Terry Baker, and I hope I didn't jinx him before the game, because he said that if something were to happen to him, Jock Climby was the backup punter and likely field goal kicker. We kind of joked about it. I hope we didn't jinx you. And there he goes off the field. Looks like he's walking on his own power. He'll be okay. Boy, did he take a hit from Williams there.
Penalty on the play was no yards, and it remains a Winnipeg football. First down, Blue Bombers at the Alouette 48. On a key turnover for Reggie Slack. Let's see what he can do with the opportunity here. Little play action fake. Slack decides to take off himself. He's got room to grab the first down. If he can outrun to the far side, number 21, Urban Smith. See where they spot the ball. Slack likes to get out of there a little bit.
Well, throughout his history, he's had knee problems that have sort of hampered his running ability, but you can see by this play, he obviously isn't bothering him anymore because he just takes off, doesn't see what he likes to the play side. That's the side that he rolled to, so he just takes off and picks it up on his own.
Slack 52 rushes, 356 yards, and 4 touchdowns in his CFL career. Looking deep to the corner, and it's picked off, grabbed by Spencer McLennan. He dropped the ball. Bombers have a chance to recover, and I'm not sure who got it down there. Looks like the Bombers have it.
The Bombers have it.
Spencer McLennan had the interception. It will count as his second, and then a fumble after the fact.
I think Milt Stiegel was the one who came up with the play, and what happened was Reggie Slack's just dropping back, trying to go down the seam, and Shannon Baker got jammed up and couldn't get to the spot where the ball was thrown, and of course Spencer McLennan was back there. He picks it up and then just loses the football. You know, Spencer McLennan's used to running back those kicks too, so he's used to handling the ball.
Myron Wise makes a good play there to strip it away.
He gets stripped by Wise.
Blue Bombers first down. Goal to go from the 10. Here's Slack. And there's a marker down as Slack looked to get it to Dean Lytle. He lines up as the fullback in the Bomber offense.
Well, it's hard to say what the penalty would be here. Likely a pick,
I would think,
or pass interference, depending on which way Jake Ireland saw it. Those are all judgment calls.
Boyko was in the area, number 17.
Offense will tell you there's never a pick.
We have a dress code violation.
Oh.
Winnipeg number 17. First down.
All right, what's Boyko wearing?
Well, Bruce Boyko has a dress code problem. It could be his socks. You have to have your socks all the way up, and maybe just before this play, his socks were down a little bit, showing some skin. If you're showing skin, even if it's Montreal, that's a penalty.
That's a good line. This is Montreal, one of Canada's great cities. So a dress code violation. I don't think that'll sit too well at the Blue Bomber bench.
Well, you know Cal's going to be upset about it for the one reason that usually with these kind of penalties, you get 1 or 2 warnings before they actually call it. And Cal's saying, hey, you didn't even let us know that we had a problem out there, and it's usually a warning. And you can see he's a little bit upset about it.
Can you read lips? Now number 54 is not wearing the right badge.
Yeah, now he's pointing out all the Montreal Alouettes that are having dress code problems.
First and 20. Bombers back now to the 20-yard line. And Slack couldn't connect that time. Looking for Myron Wise.
Well, the word is on Ken Austin. He wanted to play in this football game, and the doctors told him because of the concussion he suffered, he was not going to be able to play. He had no choice.
Mostly because that was the 3rd concussion that Austin has had in the past 10 months. 2 with the Argos last year, so that's why they're taking every precaution. On 2nd and 20. Slack looks to the corner, had Wise open and couldn't connect.
And does Reggie Slack take a hit? I believe it's from Doug Peterson at the end of this play. And he stands in there to make this throw because Sean Graham was open down the sideline, but he had to wait for him to get open. There's Grant Carter going upfield, and here comes Doug Peterson with that helmet right underneath the armpit of Reggie Slack as he releases the football and then drives him into the ground.
So Westwood is in. The Bombers will settle for a field goal try. He's been good on 8 of 9 so far this season, hitting on 88.9%. And he adds one more to his total as the Blue Bombers have the lead for the first time. It's 3-0, Winnipeg leading on a Troy Westwood field goal.
This way, Major. Impudent rascals. One of them was causing my daughter.
Jack, where do you have her? Jack. You remember Amanda? We met at the tavern. Amanda.
Is any woman with this? We have railways to plan, breweries to build.
But I've not introduced you to Lucy. Lucy, Amanda's twin sister, in fact.
Which way do you think?
Excuse me.
A Bad Blue, true Canadian lager.
Did it? Hello! Is car not riding as smoothly as you'd like? Well, suspension trouble could be in your struts, your shock, your springs, or your alignment. So, head over to Midas for a free inspection. They'll show you in writing not just what's wrong, but what needs fixing now and what can wait. That way, you get some choice in the matter. It's better than getting jerked around. Midas, the way it should be. Oh, big fella. Oh.
If you like action,
Welcome to the Johnny Bauer exhibit.
you'll love the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's fun, it's surprising, it's interactive. The Hockey Hall of Fame. It's so much fun, you won't know what hit you.
Listening in on the sidelines, couldn't hear the whole conversation, but I think it might have been about clothing.
Well, I can tell you that Jake Ireland had his hands about 4 or 5 inches apart, and I'm pretty sure if I could relive, he was saying, hey, his socks were down around his calves by about 6 inches, and that's not allowed by league rules.
Cal seems to be upset for the fact that there might not have been a warning about the dress code.
Well, no warning, and also Montreal has a few players probably were stretching dress codes.
Dexter Dawson on the kickoff after Westwood's field goal. Slowed down near the 17, and he couldn't regain momentum. Scrambling out to the 20 for a 14-yard return. K.D. Williams.
K.D. Williams, he does it all for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He's leading the team in special team tackles. He comes down here being held, being grabbed. Stephon Reed trying to do everything he can do. You saw him double-teamed earlier in the game, and guess what? Still comes up with the play. For his reward, he gets to line up from defense and face Tracy Ham.
And that's the challenge for this Bomber defense tonight. Tracy Ham and his ability to move the football and carry it himself. This is Michael Souls on first down, and he powers his way across the 25 out to about the 27. Souls averages 4.5 yards a carry and has been solid as a receiver this season, too. 11 catches for 143 yards.
What surprises me about Michael Souls, he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. I mean, usually the Montreal Alouettes get down. When he was in Edmonton, for sure, when they got down around that 1-yard line, he was in there. I mean, he got the call. He hasn't scored yet this year.
Had 8 touchdowns last year for the Eskimos. On second down and a couple, Tyrone Rush. This will be close. This is Rush's first start for the Montreal Alouettes. He's played in a couple of games. Well, he could carry the ball a few times when other players went down. He was the DI a couple of times.
Yeah, he gets the start because Michael Saunders, of course, hurt his knee in their last football game, and talked to Saunders on the sideline today. He was in a knee brace and says it's week to week, but likely be 2 or 3. So Tyrone Rush will get his chance to show the coaching staff here in Montreal what he can do.
And Rush did get enough for the first down. Alouettes now out at the 31. Williams and Kralik are the wide receivers. As Ham takes a lot of time and looked a little too far for Jock Climby. Now the marker down back at the 45.
There's a marker down, but I don't think it's the marker for what the fans wanted. They want an interference call there on Gerald Vaughn on Jock Climby for that little bit of a push at the end of that play.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver. Winnipeg number 33. First down.
So the penalty is against Bobby Evans. Was it in the area that Ham went to or away from the play?
It was away from the play, and it's illegal contact, so Bobby Evans did some sort of jam on the line of scrimmage that was illegal. You're allowed to protect your ground as a defensive back, but if that receiver goes by you, you can't get your hands on him, and obviously Bobby Evans did that.
Third penalty against the Bombers. First and 10, Montreal, Alouettes 41. Tyrone Rush on a pitch from Tracy Ham. And the gain is limited to a couple.
Well, Tyrone Rush actually holds the longest punt and kickoff return for the Montreal Alouettes. He's been used a little bit in special teams. Has an 18-yard punt return this year and a 32-yard kickoff return. So he has had his hands on the ball a little bit for this team.
And one of the all-time great names for a running back.
He's a lot different style than Mike Saunders. Mike Saunders will be back there trying to pick and choose his holes and making moves in the hole, and Rush is a slasher, tries to hit it hard.
Ham on 2nd and 8, can't get it away. Took a big hit from behind. Sliding around Gerald Vaughn, number 13. And Ham was surrounded. Vaughn came in and finished him off.
Well, Gerald Vaughn is going to come way from the outside of this pitcher and come on the halfback blitz. Jock Climby doesn't see him coming. He comes in. Obviously, Tracy Ham doesn't see him coming. And he gets tattooed in the back of the head, and those ones hurt.
That's the style of Blue Bomber defense we've been used to seeing as Shannon Baker drops back, and Terry Baker is back in the ballgame, apparently okay. Markers are down. Penalty will go against the Alouettes as Shannon Baker steps out near the 37. Bombers are on the board with a 3-0 lead over the Alouettes in Montreal.
If you want full office suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers office suite power at a word processor price.
The definition of radical: to depart from the norm, to stand up for what's important with courage and passion. The definition of Canadian, not American. It's time to stand up and get passionate about your country, its traditions, its future. One of these great traditions is football played the way it was meant to be, radically Canadian. The Canadian Football League. It's hard-hitting, it's longer, wider, faster football. Every game is an event, a party. More importantly, it's our game and we won't change it for anyone. The CFL, radically Canadian and proud of it. Now you too can be a radical Canadian by wearing radical hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and golf shirts, all from Starter Canada. Get radical from only $19.99. Call 1-800-545-5757. These items aren't available in any store. The only way you can get radical is to call now. Dare to be different. Get radical. Be Canadian. The Canadian Football League is radically Canadian. Call 1-800-545-5757 now.
You drink Pepsi, you collect points. You get Pepsi stuff. Pepsi stuff. People who drink it get it.
Kent Austin didn't want to be on the sidelines for this one, but he's under doctor's orders to take at least a week off after suffering a concussion last week.
Yeah, he says he will be back for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next game. But despite his arguments, the doctor said it's better be safe than sorry. Reggie Slack gets the start.
Slack hands off to the first man through. Well read by the Montreal defense. Number 54, Grant Carter, is the CFL lineman of the week after an outstanding game against the BC Lions.
No, well deserving. I mean, he set up camp in the BC Lion backfield last week. And one of the reasons, like we mentioned in the opening, that Andre Ware is looking for employment. Now, to his defense, it's hard to throw from your back.
That's true. 2nd and 9 as Slack goes deep. And a little too far for Myron Wise, number 89. And flags are flying everywhere down here as a little brawl breaks out back at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Demetrius Maxey's got a little bit of a reputation going for getting into this extra stuff. He's down there with Pandelitis, one of the tougher offensive linemen for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Bob Price is trying to say, listen, we've had 2 pretty good downs in a row. Let's not get a penalty and give him an extra first down. And there's Grant Carter and the veteran Tracy Gravely trying to straighten him out and keep his tempers down.
A couple of weeks ago, Demetrius Maxey was disqualified from a game against the Calgary Stampeders, and that was perhaps not a winnable game for the Alouettes against the high-powered Stampeders, but it was all downhill for Montreal after that. They lost, what, 62-22?
Well, it came off a lot more tough with Demetrius Maxey out of the lineup. I mean, he's the type of guy that demands a double team from the offensive line, and when he was out, David Pitcher had to go in against Calgary, and it was a long night right after that for Montreal.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 61, 3rd down.
That's Eddie Blake for the Blue Bombers. So Cameron is in. Looking at both these teams, one would guess that it might be a bit of a low-scoring game. Neither offense has clicked consistently for 4 quarters in any game so far this season.
Well, that's true. Both offenses have been streaky. They've had their moments. I mean, last week Tracy Ham had a pretty good second half. Last week Reggie Slack had a pretty good first half. But you're right, John. They just can't seem to put a whole game together.
Bob Cameron nailed his first punt. His average on the season, 44.8. This is Dexter Dawson, number 1, back for Montreal.
Not bad for a guy who's been in the league 100 years. I'm sure it's 100.
High, but not deep. Dawson takes it near the 43 and draws a flag. Slides through for an extra couple. 38-yard punts. And here's Chris Armstrong. A couple of catches last week for just 29 yards.
Well, he's 3rd in the CFL for TDs scored by a receiver, so he's producing from that aspect. But you know, Montreal and Chris Armstrong like to see him have the ball more.
Winnipeg number 43, 1st down.
I mean, this is a guy, Chris Armstrong, that can just break the game wide open for you. He had a pretty good game against Calgary in that loss that we were talking about earlier, John. He had a couple of touchdown passes from Tracy Ham in the losing effort. But he really hasn't got on sync with Ham yet, and that probably due partly to the fact that Ham missed a couple of games with back spasms and hasn't really gotten sync with his receiver.
1st down, Montreal. Ham under a little pressure again, but he got this one away, and he has a strike out at the 35-yard line. Ham on target for Chris Armstrong for an 18-yard gain.
This is we talk about last year's over 1,000-yard receiving leader for Baltimore. We'll see exactly what he does to work on Gerald Vaughn as he goes down to the post pattern, then crosses across the middle. One of the toughest patterns in the game to cover as a defensive back. You make that cut hard, it's awful hard to catch up when you cross the middle like that.
And that gets the Alouettes in scoring range at the 25. Ham swings it off a little low. Souls got up, but couldn't grab more than a yard.
Wow. How'd you like to be in Michael Souls' position? I mean, he caught that ball kind of doing the hook slide, and K.D. Williams was closing fast to layer the hammer on Souls. You're going to see a great shot of him. You can take his drop. The ball swung out there to Michael Souls, and look at the speed he's flying out there, and Souls just trying to protect himself.
Easy night for our isolation director, John Hines, down there. Put it on 44, and you're likely going to find something.
You will see a big play before long.
Really no gain on the play. 2nd and 10 for Tracy Ham. Looking deep, looking for Armstrong. Can't catch up to it. And Ham is on his backside again.
Well, Ham had to get rid of that football, and he threw it to where no one could catch it except for his receiver, Chris Armstrong, but Bobby Evans was there step for step. There was no catch.
Armstrong was the leading receiver 2 years in a row as a member of the Baltimore Stallions. And a couple of years ago, he had a 200-yard game against the Eskimos.
Looks like Terry Baker's okay. Shook off that hit from K.D. Williams earlier in the game.
Not a bad season in field goals, 8 of 9. Make that 9 of 10. "42-yard field goal for Terry Baker, and that gets things even again.
Real good start to the season for Terry Baker in the field goal department. This is 9 of 10. Career-wise, he's only 69.6%, so he's well above his career numbers. And in the field goal department anyway, Bob Price very happy with the production of Terry Baker.
Reggie Slack tries to get the Blue Bomber offense mobilized again. Just about the same as a year ago. It's just about as close as you can get.
Well, that's exactly the same, if I read it correctly.
Nowhere for Jackson to go as he stumbled a little bit. Jason Bryant was in the area, and Carter not far away. What a likable guy Grant Carter is. Out of the College of the Pacific.
They knew he'd be a great one coming in. I mean, last year in the playoffs for Baltimore, two playoff games for Baltimore, Grant Carter was lineman of the week in both of them. Not bad production.
Slack has not connected yet. Facing 2nd and 13. This could be it. Not quite. Douglas Kraft stepped in front. The intended receiver, Milt Stiegel. And Carter all over Slack.
Well, this is one of those zone defenses. Harold Nash is just going to do the jam, and then he's got the flat. Now he takes off to the wide flat, and here comes Douglas Kraft from the deep outside third. That means the deep zone, and here comes the pass rush from guess who? Grant Carter. He's at it again and putting his tattoo right on Reggie Slack as he throws the ball.
99 Demetrius Maxey was in on that one too. So Cameron is in, standing at his 15. Bombers 2 and outs. Cameron a high kick. Dexter Dawson waiting for it at the 32. A little spin this time. Try and buy a little room and maybe a block. Well, a decent return out near the 40. Time winding down on the opening quarter. 7-yard return after a 45-yard Cameron kick. Jock Climby, as mentioned earlier, has moved inside from an outside receiver spot.
Montreal dearly loved to see him back to that 93 form when he was in Ottawa, where he was over 1,200 yards receiving. Had a great year that year and knows he's capable. He's very comfortable in that inside position, so likely see a lot more production out of him there.
Gracie Ham has his hands back on the ball with a 1st and 10. This is Tyrone Rush. Great run. And Greg Frears ran into Tyrone Rush to slow him down. 14 yards to gain. It'll be Montreal 1st and 10 when we return to Montreal for the 2nd quarter.
CFL live at the quarter. Brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great tasting classic Italian BMT.
Now, this is definitely not one that you hear every day. Dress code violation?
Hey, listen, this is unbelievable. You know, I want to talk about this dress code violation. You know, the good referees in the league, number one thing they're going to do is they're going to take the player aside first and say, hey, listen, Alan, your socks are a little low. Next series, get them up because you're violating dress code. That's what the good referees do. For some reason, Jake Ireland, the last few years, wants to be the star of the show. He's failed to realize that people come to watch football and not to hear his voice, and it was a brutal call. And Obi, I'm going to drag you down with me. I know you've had trouble with him, too.
I think sometimes he just gets a little too high on his horse instead of just talking to you and letting you know about those things, so at least you know what's going on the field.
Yeah, you couldn't talk to him, could you?
It's hard.
Yeah, obviously, Jake Ireland's flagged the both of you a couple of times, and by the way you're dressed, it should have been dress code violation. Now, let's talk defense, because the best player on the football field tonight, without a doubt, has been K.D. Williams.
K.D. Williams has been awesome. He's been everywhere. On special teams, he's knocked the crap out of the kicker. He's on a blitz, he's hit Tyrone Rush and turned him upside down. And he's been putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback as well. He's been awesome. They got to do something to stop him.
Well, arguably the best in the Canadian Football League. We're ready for the second quarter of play. We expect another defensive struggle, so let's head out and watch a little more football as we return to Olympic Stadium.
Second quarter about to begin. Let's get a quick word from Michael Whalen on the sidelines.
Well, listen, John, there was a clothing violation called on Alan Boyko earlier in the game. Alan, exactly what did they call it for?
I guess basically they said that my socks weren't high enough over my knees, and they gave me the penalty. Usually they give a warning before they would throw the flag, but I guess this time they didn't.
Did you know about this? Did you have to have your socks up over your knee?
Well, I guess I should have known, but they were just an inch below, and they called the penalty.
Well, that's one you won't forget, huh?
No, they'll be above my knees from here on in.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Back to you, John.
And to go back to the play, it was 1st and 10 when it was called.
Yeah.
And the Bombers were at the 10-yard line.
Could have cost them
penalty
4
cost
points.
10 and the opportunity for the touchdown, really.
Right.
Tracy Ham on 1st and 10, standing in. He finds Armstrong. He'll have the first down. Chris Armstrong, a couple of big catches for Montreal already.
Well, they call him the playmaker, and that's why. I mean, that was a little 5-yard out pattern to Chris Armstrong. He's just going to catch the ball in the flat. His Ham doesn't see his primary receiver, dumps it off to his secondary receiver out there in the right flat, and look at Armstrong, makes the guy miss, and Bobby Evans can't bring him down till the second try, and that gives Montreal the first down.
A 14-yard gain for the Alouettes. 1st and 10, Bombers 43. Sideline pass, Kralik, the intended receiver. And he has yet to catch a pass tonight or last week when he saw his first action for Montreal.
Well, last week he was inside. We talked about that earlier already. Jack Climby was outside of the wide receiver, but Kralik feels more comfortable at wide receiver. He's out there after the big year last year in San Antonio where he had over 700 yards in receiving and 5 touchdowns. He likes to be out there at the wide receiver spot.
2nd and 10, Montreal. Early in the second quarter with the score tied at 3. And has time. And has his target. Nigel Williams, first catch of the ball game for number 88. An 8-yard gain there. Numbers from the opening quarter. 5 first downs for the Alouettes compared to 1 for the Blue Bombers. And look at the net yards total.
Well, the Bombers had the big play when Spencer McLennan dropped the interception, but then with that penalty for dress code violation that we've already discussed, well, that put them out of touchdown range. They ended up kicking the field goal, Winnipeg did, but most of their offense came on that fumble.
Terry Baker has a chance to give the Alouettes the lead. It'll be spotted at the 42, and he connected from there moments ago. 2 for 2 from the 42, and the Alouettes have the lead on a couple of Terry Baker field goals. 8 field goals for Baker and 11 tries.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. If your name appears below, you may have won a TriStar packing case by Skyway Luggage with practical features and modern-day innovations for today's experienced traveler. Skyway Luggage, quality and durability for over 85 years. Or Minolta Compact Zoom Binoculars, a convenient zoom lever lets you locate a subject at low power, then examine it in detail. Minolta high performance at an economical price. Touchdown to Win ballots, available exclusively at all participating Safeway stores.
This summer, TSN and Subway want you to put the bite on us to win. Win one of 6 weekly baseball or football prize packs, and all correct entries will qualify to win a grand prize trip to 2 World Series games or a trip to this year's Grey Cup game. Get an entry at participating Subway stores, then tune in and look for the Subway Bite during TSN baseball and CFL broadcasts, and mail in each week for a chance to win. CFL live on TSN.
brought to you in part by Diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi has no diet aftertaste. By the Keg Steakhouse and Bar, where good friends get together to enjoy great steaks and share some fun. And by the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies, proud sponsors of the Canadian Olympic team.
Reggie Slack has yet to complete a pass, and we're into the second quarter. He's 0 for 6 and down by 3.
Well, if things go the way they have for Reggie Slack and Winnipeg's offense, then he'll get hot coming up in one of these quarters. He usually has 1 or 2 bad quarters and 1 or 2 pretty good quarters.
Bombers beginning at the 35. Slack with some time and fired high.
Oh, he had Shannon Baker wide open over the middle that time. Spencer McLennan was way deep from his safety position, and Shannon Baker had worked underneath to the post pattern, and
so Slack is now 0 for 7.
Demetrius Maxey getting some great pressure on Reggie Slack late, along with Grant Carter. You see the hit right there, and then the takedown.
Last week, Slack was good on 21 of 35 for 298 yards. 219 of that total came in the opening half. 2nd and 10, Winnipeg. And Slack won't get it away.
Guess who?
54. Grant Carter.
6 sacks for Baltimore last year. He had 8 knockdowns for the staff for Baltimore last year. And he had a great game. We talked about it against the BC Lions. This week's defensive star, and he's at it again.
He was in clean, too, wasn't he?
Hey, you got to block him. I mean, they saw the BC game film. That's one guy you got to pick up.
Had to come around to get there, but I don't think he was hit. Cameron for Winnipeg back at his 15. That's Dexter Dawson. Dawson at the 40 draws a flag, and there's nowhere to run.
He's going to get the no yards call.
The other defensive star of the game last week and again this week, K.D. Williams.
I mean, last year, we got an injured ref.
No yards. Winnipeg number 54. First down.
It could be, if Alan Boyko's in the area, might have been payback time for the dress code thing. Got caught up in the mix there. Hard to see who it is.
Tough to pick out the number. Cal Murphy on the Bombers sidelines. He's down 6-3 and a couple of Baker field goals. And we haven't been able to pick up the number. We've got a timeout as called by referee Jake Ireland. We'll take a quick timeout at Olympic Stadium in Montreal and return on the CFL line.
Great football. Great software. Join the winning team. It's unbeatable.
Get your entry form at a participating Subway store and tune in again to win.
You had to be there. The Kuwait oil fires, they called it hell on earth. 500 blazing lakes of burning oil. Man, somebody had to stop it.
1. The need, a weapon to extinguish the world's worst fires. 2. The innovation, an amazing foam that crawls across a sea of flame and smothers it. That's 3M innovation.
Without that stuff, it might still be burning.
We make a difference in the world because we make the leap from need to innovation. 3M innovation.
No, George Herman, never heard of the man.
Mr. Perfecto.
You look different on radio.
All right, let's get going here.
Closed captioning of this CFL telecast is brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great tasting, classic Italian BMT.
There's the injured official. It's Don Ellis, the field judge, and we don't have a real clear picture of it, but maybe we can show you a portion of what happened to him after we see this play, I should say. 1st and 10. Tracy Ham to his left, throwing on the run, and he got it through somehow. Armstrong made the catch. There's Don Ellis on the far side. Here's what happened.
Well, Don Ellis is right here. If you follow the play, you're going to see just at the end, he gets a clip right there. Just to the left-hand top corner of the screen. It's hard to see who did it, but he was kind of holding his rib, and hopefully it's just the wind that he got knocked out of him, but he was holding the right rib, so got caught up in the special teams. That's when everyone gets hurt, special teams. Here's another one. It looks like it's Bobby Evans down.
Number 33 for the Blue Bombers is Bobby Evans. So a couple of injuries back-to-back. One, the field judge.
Bobby Evans looks like they're checking out his ribs as well.
Chris Armstrong picks up 14 yards on this play.
That's Evans right there. Let's see as Tracy Ham rolls to his left, and then he's going to try and throw it back into the middle. There's Evans coming across on the tackle, and it looks like Chris Armstrong just rolled over top of his ribs. He looks like he is in pain.
There's Don Ellis heading to the infirmary at Olympic Stadium, and Bobby Evans may be joining him. That Bomber secondary has been patched together this week a little bit too, with Damian Lyons out of there. He was injured against Edmonton last week, has a quad muscle problem, and could be missing Monday's game against Calgary in Winnipeg as well.
Well, they say Lyons' injury isn't too bad, although because they're so close to playing Calgary that he'll probably miss that game. David Poole will have to replace Bobby Evans.
Another timeout at Olympic Stadium for the Alouettes, leading the Blue Bombers 6-3.
Play Safeway's touchdown to win. There's a prize for every touchdown and interception during TSN telecast. Prizes like a Daewoo 27-inch stereo TV, a Uniden cordless phone and answering system, a Dirt Devil Ultra handbag and cordless broom bag, or a packing case from Skyway Luggage. Or win a trip for two to Puerto Vallarta, courtesy of Canadian Holidays, Canada's largest vacation company. Safeway feature products: Heinz Ketchup, ABC Laundry Detergent. Touchdown to win at Safeway, today's better way.
Brought to you by the world leader in Windows graphics software, Corel Print House is the fast and easy way for everyone to create great-looking greeting cards, stationery, banners, and more. Work with professionally designed samples or start your own creations from scratch. With Corel Print House, it's only a few easy steps to any printing project. Get creative. Get Corel Print House, the easy all-in-one graphics powerhouse exclusively for Microsoft Windows 95.
I'm Jim McKay with an update from the 2020 Global Games. Graduated hurdles rose, but Great Britain fell. Nathan Rudder grabbed the ring and the gold for the U.S. Earlier today, Caswell Fowler executed the first perfect 10 multiple board dive.
The world of sports is ever evolving, but athletes of today can choose All Sports Body Quencher for fluid replacement, unsurpassed taste, thirst-quenching flavors.
Coming up later, the record-breaking 300-meter dolphin relay.
Blue Bomber defensive back Bobby Evans seems to be all right on the Winnipeg sidelines. We expect to see him back in the game. Montreal 1st and 10 at the Bomber 42. Dexter Dawson in the backfield and gets the call. And let's bring in Michael Whalen.
Well, John, Don Ellis, the field judge, has left the field. He suffered a broken rib. They're taking him for x-rays right now, and it's doubtful that he'll be back for the rest of the game.
We had the correct diagnosis up here, Doctor.
Yeah,
Dr. Suter.
Looked like he was holding those ribs, and hopefully Don Ellis will be okay, and the x-rays will come up negative. But they're at a little bit of a disadvantage without the equipment on.
2nd and 8 for Ham. Looking deep. Had Dexter Dawson open for a split second. And was that K.D. Williams getting a hand on the ball?
No.
Coverage, no?
No, he's good, but I don't know if he's that quick to get back there to
Jason Mallett.
To the deep coverage, but Jason Mallett did do a nice job. There's K.D. Williams roaming the middle of that defense, but Mallett was the one who came back from the corner position and got his hand on the football. And hey, right when I say I don't think he's that quick to get back there,
He
there
wasn't
he is.
far away. No, he certainly wasn't.
There he is, a yard away.
Terry Baker, 2 for 2. He's 3 for 3. 42, 42, and 47 for Baker. Nice night.
Well, Quinn Magnuson is the long snapper, and Jimmy Kemp is the holder for Baker. And I talked to the three of them before the game, and the deal is if Baker is over 80% at the end, at the halfway point of the season, Baker takes Magnuson and Jimmy Kemp out for dinner. So you know their job's going to be perfect. And here's Jimmy Kemp. Let's see his job. Right on the mark. Perfect straight snap. Great hold by Kemp. And he'll say, okay, we're closer to that dinner every time you do that. And there's long snapper Quinn Magnuson.
For the Bombers trying to get a running game going, Rendell Jackson, number 34. He is the #1 rusher on the Blue Bombers with 84 yards. And that total will drop a little bit because he lost a few.
Demetrius Maxey made a great play there, and he is really a dominant player in the middle. Reminds me a little bit of Gerald Bayless, the way he demands the double team. And you know, he's one of the youngest players in the CFL. He'll be 23 in October.
Bomber running game is a little bit suspect with just 329 yards in 4 games. Black on second and a bunch, second and 13, and that's his first completion and the first down for the Bombers in a long while. Stiegel is still going. Milt Stiegel got away, and that's the biggest play for the Bombers offense all night long. 41 yards.
Well, with the injury to Gerald Wilcox, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were in a bit of dilemma as to whether they should put Alan Boyko at the wide receiver position and Stiegel at the slot back. They ended up going with Stiegel staying at the slot back position, putting Boyko outside, and that's just because he's so comfortable in there, does a nice job after the catch, getting the extra yardage.
41 yards, that's better than the Bombers' offense did in the opening quarter. For Milt Stiegel, the first down, Winnipeg is slack. Buys a little time, and there's another strike. Slack on target, 2 for 2. That's Boyko this time, number 17. And he has 18 more.
Alan Boyko, Mr. Consistent. Put back there on punt returns and always comes up with that big catch when you need it. And here's a pretty good middle linebacker coming on a stunt from the outside, Paul Randolph. Boy, you know, he wants to have a great game against his former teammates in Winnipeg. He's been part of a lot of great Winnipeg linebacking corps in the past.
First down, Winnipeg. Jackson stumbles forward for a couple. Number 34, averaging 5.8 yards a carry.
Well, he leads the team in rushing, as you mentioned, John, after just 1 game playing. So
they've had Michael Richardson in there. And they've had Martin Patton in there as a running back. Injuries have been a problem at that spot for Cal Murphy. Gain is 2, second and 8. Winnipeg at the Alouettes 19. Slack on the roll right. Look to throw at the last moment. It's picked off.
I don't know. That was an interception, I think.
Spencer McLennan had it. They're calling it Bomber touchdown.
They're calling it incomplete. I think he's saying that it bounced, but I think Spencer McLennan definitely has an argument here because, boy, it looked to me like that one, he scooped it up off the turf.
I thought so too.
Now Reggie Slack's got to throw it across his body. He doesn't get really enough on it to get it in there, and McLennan goes down, gets his hands. It looked to me from our angle like it was underneath the ball.
Tough from that angle, though.
Tough from that angle to see it, and this might be a better shot right here. You see the ball go down. Now, does he get his hands underneath it before it hits the turf? And I think he does.
Awfully close, though. Bombers settled for a field goal. And Westwood is now 2 for 2. 26-yarder for Westwood. He had a 27-yarder earlier. So it's been a kicker's night as Montreal hangs on to the lead at 9-6. Baker leading Westwood 3-2.
It's unbelievable because they're both identical on the season at coming into this game
8
at
of 9.
8-9. Yeah.
89%.
Yeah. And they're both perfect again tonight, so battle of a couple of good kickers competing early in this football season.
Well, it's close at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Bob Price on guaranteed win night in his 6th year in the Canadian Football League, first year as head coach.
And you know, if he doesn't win on guaranteed win night, the 2-for-1 night will probably come in handy late.
And a better crowd on hand here. 2-for-1 means 2-for-1 tickets, 2-for-1 hot dogs, and perhaps most importantly, 2-for-1 beers.
Oh, see ya.
So it should be a little rowdy here before it's over tonight. Westwood's kickoff is low. Nice return for Rush. Tyrone Rush is out near the 45 with a 39-yard return. So again, he'll turn it over to the offense with decent field position. And for this game, he's part of the offense. Most of the times this season, Rush has started as a DI, a return guy, but he's a starter at running back for the first time.
Look at the job K.D. Williams does. He gets hit hard, knocked down off his feet, gets up and gets involved in the tackle. He has one speed, full.
And awfully quick.
Yeah, he runs like a 4.5 in the 40. Not bad for a guy who weighs 224.
Having the Alouettes on first down. He won't get it away. Wrapped up quickly by Angelo Snipes.
Well, Angelo Snipes,
a couple of sacks for Winnipeg.
He's one of the pure pass rushers in the league, and you cannot ask a slot back in Jock Climby to block Angelo Snipes. I mean, the guy averages 15.5 sacks every year he's been in the CFL. I mean, you got to block him with one of those big tackles.
That's his second sack of the night. Third for the Bombers. Ham on second and long. Kralik was the intended receiver, number 3. Still looking for his first reception as an Alouette.
Well, David Poole has to go in relief of, I believe it was Bobby Evans who got hurt. Hasn't come back, so he's been out at that corner position and was stride for stride there. Tracy Ham had no one to throw to.
Stiegel and Baker deep for Winnipeg. Good kick by Terry Baker. This is Milt Stiegel on the return. And good upfield coverage by the Alouettes. Gain is limited to 12. Interesting that Jim Sparrows was suggesting to his coaches at a meeting earlier this week that he wanted better play from the special teams. This guy's a hands-on owner. He was upset at special teams coverage and a couple of blocked punts. So the owner was in chatting it up with the coaches.
You know you're in trouble when the owner comes in and starts coaching the team. Those guys know about the business side, but I don't know about the X's and O's.
Nowhere to run for Rendell Jackson.
Well, Jason Bryant comes up with a great hit. I mean, he's one of those in-between guys. The guy weighs about 200 pounds, can cover pretty good, but plays linebacker. And the reason they got him in there is because he can also stop the run, just like he did there. Here he is right here in your screen. He does a nice job of filling that hole. When he reads that shovel pass, come up and bang. They call him J-Rock. I asked a couple of the guys from Montreal, why do they call him J-Rock? And then no one really knew, but I have an idea. Because he'll rock you.
I say, okay. Jason. And here's Reggie Slack. Not quite. Myron Wise, the intended receiver. Charles Gordon was covering.
Well, they really like Myron Wise. I think he's got good speed. He goes to the ball, reacts well to the ball when it's in the air, and they have high hopes for him at the receiver position. Gets, of course, his first start and chance to play with Gerald Wilcox out of the lineup, and that was definitely one he should have had, not Reggie Slack's fault in that play.
He was bothered by an ankle problem in training camp and in the preseason. But he led the league last year in average yards per catch, 22.4. That was #1 in the CFL when he was with San Antonio. Cameron again. Dexter Dawson again. He's a busy guy down there on those returns.
Well, you start
quite broken through yet.
But you do get the feeling every time that he touches the ball that he might break one.
After my favorite place, Taylor Field, Regina on Friday night with Doug Flutie and company in town to take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Well, I'll tell
we'll
you.
have it for you at 9 Eastern. You're avoiding this trip.
Well, yeah, I'm not. I think Leaf's doing it with you on that one. It's probably better. I tend to go out a little too much when I'm in Saskatchewan with the old teammates there, Taylor Field and things like that. So
I hadn't noticed that. But
so it's probably better that I'm staying home. But that should be a good football game. You know, you look at that one, everyone would think maybe Toronto had the advantage going in, but Saskatchewan always good at home and
always tough at Taylor Field.
Always plays well against Doug Flutie at home as well. So that's pretty good game.
On first down, Tyrone Rush gets the call. Drags a couple of bombers.
Well, Tyrone Rush, different style of running back than Mike Saunders. Just take the draw play deep in the backfield, slashes up in there, and does a pretty good job of getting that second effort as he bangs away against some pretty good linebackers in Greg Clark and K.D. Williams.
He grabbed 5. Alouettes, the Blue Bomber, 36. Ham had a couple of receivers there, and a touchdown here. Markers are down, but Jock Climby is in the end zone.
The marker is down by whether or not it's legal procedure or offside.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver. Winnipeg number 91. Line.
It's great to hear the roar at Olympic Stadium, isn't it?
Well, Jock Climby, he just breaks wide open as this play develops. Ham sees it, probably can't believe how open he gets. He just sneaks in behind the coverage from Gerald Vaughn, who got kind of crossed up with Greg Clark there as he took his drop. Climby breaks into the open, takes off and pulls up a big touchdown.
36-yard touchdown for Jock Climby. .256 to go till halftime. And Climby gets the Alouettes into the end zone for the first time.
Think he feels better while playing slot back? I think he does now.
10-point lead for Montreal on Winnipeg. Three-minute warning as you watch Climby race to the end zone.
Hey, Bubba, Dick, back together doing a brew commercial.
Hi, you.
Well, listen up, guys. This brew's special.
We know brew.
Handcrafted from quality ingredients.
Wow.
Filtered water, brewed in small batches.
Let's go for it.
Okay, action.
What kind of brew is this?
It's iced tea.
Lipton's Brew Iced Tea. Us Hall of Famers love it.
And Bob, too.
Lipton's Brew Iced Tea. Brewed true.
Spending more time on your hair than breakfast? Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal bars, part of a complete breakfast. Good food on the go. Hitting the snooze button too many times? Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal bars, part of a complete breakfast. Good food on the go.
Coming up at Corral halftime, we'll have a preview of the Edmonton Eskimos and the Ottawa Rough Riders, and these guys have not stopped talking as of yet. We'll hear from Leaf, Les, and Bob at the half.
Jock Climby has 2 catches for a total of 46 yards, including a 36-yard touchdown strike from Tracy Ham.
He's just working down the field, and there's some sort of mix-up or collision there with Greg Clark and Gerald Vaughn, and Climby takes advantage of that, finds the open area.
Hey, showed a little burst to outrun the defender to the end zone. Second touchdown of the season for Jock Climby.
He's one of those guys with deceptive speed. You can't just tighten too close to him, or else he'll run by you.
Returning for Winnipeg, Wendell Jackson. Good coverage by the Alouettes special teams with 2:50 to go. Alouettes scored in a hurry, 2 plays to cover 41 yards at a time of 1:24. Ham to Climby.
Well, this is a big series for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers now. They've struggled a little bit on offense. Reggie Slack has to take control of this offense, show some leadership in the huddle, and respond to this score from Montreal.
He has completed just 3 of 12. Bombers are 1st and 10 at the Winnipeg 24. Slack took a hit as he tried to find Stiegel, number 85.
Doug Peterson put some pressure on Reggie Slack just as we released that ball, and he has been all over Reggie Slack. This is him right here. He's just going to keep working upfield. Reggie Slack doesn't take a very deep drop, only a couple of yards. See right there as he's throwing that football. That's happened about 3 or 4 times tonight where that arm has been up and releasing the ball. Doug Peterson's been right underneath it.
Shannon Baker to the near side. Stiegel and Boyko out of the far side of the field, flanked out for Winnipeg on 2nd and 10. Slack looked over the middle and missed by a mile, but there's a flag. Myron Wise was the intended receiver. And was Peterson a little late with the pressure this time?
Well,
or with the hit?
I believe it's going to be a late hit. I'm just not sure if it was Doug Peterson or not, or Demetrius Maxey on the...
Forward pass interference. Montreal, number 25. Major foul.
Well,
roughing the quarterback. Montreal, number 94. First down.
So it was Peterson.
So it was Peterson, and then the other end,
Charles Gordon on the interference.
Charlie Gordon gets the interference, and they were doing a little bit of back and forth, pushing and shoving, Charlie Gordon and Myron Wise, and here comes Doug Peterson on the play late as Reggie Slack lets go of that football. He takes an extra step and a half, and that was enough for the official to say, okay, you know, we've hit him a couple times as he's thrown it, but that was too many steps.
On first down, another marker on the field as Rendell Jackson carries for Winnipeg.
This is really the big break the Winnipeg Blue Bombers needed to get this drive going. A couple of penalties now have continued the drive, kept it alive because that ball went incomplete. And now they're getting another one offside for Montreal. So Cal Murphy will likely take that penalty, and
offside. Montreal, number 36. Repeat, first down.
That's Paul Randolph, the ex-Blue Bomber linebacker.
There he is right here. He's up there showing the blitz and coming on the blitz, and Reggie Slack gets him. You saw that head bob. That's old Tom Wilkinson trick. You get that little head bob in there as you're calling out the cadence and get a linebacker who's anxious to run that blitz offside.
Slack facing 1st and 5. Bombers down by 10, heading toward the half. And Slack a little low for Milt Stiegel. Would have been a fine catch if he could hang on, but it was a little off the mark.
Reggie Slack doesn't have some great numbers, but I tell you what, he's been hit hard this game. He's been hit just as he releases the football, and he's had a couple of drops. We've seen Myron Wise drop a couple, and there Milt Stiegel definitely should have had that one. So not always the quarterback's fault. Cal Murphy knows that as he looks on to his starter.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg. This time he's on target. Slack for Jackson. And Rendell Jackson broke a tackle and draws another flag. With 2:22 to go till halftime, a 16-yard gain. And penalties are helping immensely with this Winnipeg scoring march.
I think the penalty is going to be a face mask on Tracy Gravely.
Major foul. Face mask. Montreal number 7. First down.
Way to go, Hawkeye.
Well, you see him come up the middle after catching that dump pass. He's taking a few hits and breaking the tackles. Here comes Spencer McLennan. He's trying to get him, and there's Tracy Gravely with that left arm right across the face mask. Boy, the official had to have the Hawkeye to see it, but he did.
That's a bad penalty to take right there. Jackson was on his way down. First and 10, Winnipeg at the Alouettes 23. Slack has an opportunity to hit the end zone here. Tripped up by Randolph. Randolph got a handout and grabbed a hold of Reggie Slack.
Well, it was a heck of a play by Paul Randolph because Reggie Slack had broken containment. He got to the outside, drops back. Montreal's coming with the full blitz, and Paul Randolph pretty much has to get there or Slack has all day to throw, and he just does by a shoelace.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12, Winnipeg at the Alouettes 25 now. Time to throw. No catch. Wow, Stiegel was the intended receiver, and it seems to me there were about 4 Alouettes in the area.
Well, Harold Nash did a super job of coverage on Milt Stiegel. There's no question now. It was just straight out man-to-man coverage. Montreal coming with the blitz. Paul Randolph was going. Tracy Gravely was going. And that left Harold Nash in the one-on-one situation. Milt Stiegel just could not shake him.
So Westwood is in for a 32-yard field goal, trying to narrow the gap. He's been perfect so far. Boy, and there's one more.
These kickers can't miss.
Both kickers, Westwood and Terry Baker, 3 for 3 tonight. That's Westwood's longest of the evening, 27-26 and now 32. And that narrows it a little bit.
You know, they
Montreal on top 16-9. Sorry.
You know, they love to have Troy Westwood kicking for him. I mean, here's a guy that last year 73.5% in field goals, but the most important stat I think about him from last year was he never missed inside the 30-yard line. You know, when you get in a situation, your head coach and Cal Murphy knows he has 3 points inside the 30, that's pretty nice to know. It's pretty good feeling.
It's 2 for 1 night in Montreal, and that draws a bit of a crowd. Michael Whalen.
Yeah, it certainly does, John. I just found out that they had an hour-and-a-half wait for tickets tonight. They had an incredible walk-up. They're expecting well over 31,000 for sure for tonight's game. So they better win, or Jim Spiros is going to be doling out a lot of money.
This worked well for the Expos, did it not, Michael?
The Expos would love 31,000 any day of the week.
But 2 for 1 night worked. Or half-price night, I guess it was. Dexter Dawson. Good head of steam. He's out near the 30 with 1:45 to go till halftime. 22-yard return. And Tracy Ham.
Well, he did such a great job last week against the BC Lions, and he did it because of his rushing. I mean, last week he rushed for 42 yards. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but it was 42 key yards, usually on 2nd and long. He usually broke containment, got away from Lion blitzes, and that's when Tracy Ham is at his best. You know, over his career, he's rushed for 43.5 yards per game, and that's what he's known for, just getting away from that pass.
Nigel Williams flanks to the near side. Tyrone Rush off right tackle. Interesting note on Ham last week, good on 2 of 10 passes in the first half, and he came on to have a pretty good evening in the second. 13 of 24 for 261 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did the damage in the second half.
Yeah, he really did, and it was like we were talking about. A lot of times he bought time and caught the BC Lions in blitzing situations, and when you get outside of containment as a quarterback, you got man-to-man coverage downfield, you're just licking your chops, and Tracy Ham took advantage in that second half.
7 for Rush. This is 3rd and 3, and Rush gets it again. Watch for the first down. He's tough to bring down. It took 4 Bombers to do it. Tyrone Rush getting his first start. A nice little 21-yard gain there.
Hey,
this is fun to watch.
This guy's an exciting football player to watch run the football. I mean, he just breaks tackles. He's one of these guys, like, kind of reminds you a little bit of Corey Philpott when he hits up in there.
A little bigger than Corey, isn't he?
A little heavier than Corey, but he little sidestep there, breaks a tackle from Angelo Snipes, heads up the field, breaks the face mask from Gerald Vaughn that wasn't called. Bobby Evans back in the game. He has to get some help from Greg Fears to finally get him down.
Alouettes just into Bomber territory at the Winnipeg 53. Ham airs it out, wide open, and a strike near the 25-yard line. Jock Climby's third catch of the game.
See, Jock Climby is perfect in there because he can read the defense so well from the slot back position. That time he read the zone defense and was on the same page as his quarterback Tracy Ham. Found the soft spot in the zone. Jason Mallett couldn't get over there from his deep outside coverage position. Greg Fears was too far into the middle. Climby just settled down in the zone and gave his quarterback a big target.
Third reception for Climby, and the Alouettes have an opportunity to score here with 47 seconds left till the half. They're set up at the Winnipeg 24.5. Ham avoiding the rush and fired that one a little low on the far side.
Well, it's a good thing he did for the Montreal Alouettes and their fans because that was going the other way. Bobby Evans read the play, had broken the football, and he would have been doing the dance in the end zone had Ham put that one on the money to Jock Climby.
Climby was the intended receiver again. He has 3 for 74 yards and the only touchdown of the ball game. Bobby Evans, shaken up earlier, has been back for a while.
Apparently just had the wind knocked out of him. So.
Did I say the Bombers had trouble rushing the ball? 7 yards first half for Winnipeg. 34 seconds till halftime. Montreal, 2nd and 10. Climby couldn't hang on, and it went high. Looked like there was an opportunity for a Winnipeg interception there, but no one in the area.
Well, K.D. Williams had the sights and the scope locked on Jock Climby's numbers. That's why he didn't see the ball deflect up there, because he was going for the hit. But look, he was just flying over there. I mean, he's zeroed in right now. There is a big bullseye right in the middle of 82. He doesn't care where the football is. He's going right for the hit. Jock Climby knew it. Looked like Ham threw a little bit of an off-speed pitch there, and Climby couldn't handle it.
Baker from 32. And he's 4 for 4. Nice night for the kickers. 19-9, Montreal with a 10-point lead restored on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 24 seconds for Reggie Slack to work with.
Hey, right there. One time out, lose the clock. When the pitch hit, man, I couldn't.
Well, Cal Murphy saw him giving a circular motion with his hand. That usually indicates that he's going to try and use the clock to their advantage. That'll probably mean throwing some patterns to the outside, getting those receivers out of bounds, and try and get in field goal position for this half end.
Shannon Baker to the near side. Slack looking at 1st and 10 at the 35. Charges on again. Slack just got it away, and Rendell Jackson couldn't bring it home.
Well, I tell you, Reggie Slack
is taking a pounding.
He is taking a pounding every time he throws the football, whether he gets rid of it or not. Gary Rogers, Grant Carter, Doug Peterson, and Demetrius Maxey up front are doing their jobs tonight and putting a bunch of licks on the quarterback. There's Maxey right in the middle.
2nd and 10, Winnipeg. 19 seconds unofficially on the clock. Slack buys a little time. Not much on target, but there was nowhere to go with 9 seconds till the half.
I can't believe he got that ball away. I mean, he was in the full run. Grant Carter was chasing him down, and he sidearmed that one as he was hitting the floor. Carter putting the big lick on him, and I can't believe he even threw that one.
Shannon Baker makes the catch and loses a couple.
I mean, he's been like this all game. Sergeant, look at his feet. I mean, he's never been able to set his feet to try and throw that football, and there he goes side-arming it about 30 yards downfield into the sideline with that guy right on his back. That was just straight, strong arming it out there.
Slack has been feeling the heat from the opening whistle tonight.
Watch out for this guy. I mean, Dexter Dawson seems like he can break one anytime he catches that ball. That's an exciting football player in himself.
Cameron will kick to Dexter Dawson. Bombers have not had good luck scoring in the first half, and it's getting worse tonight.
Well, the good news is for them is that the second half's coming up. They're a lot better then.
No fancy footwork for Dexter Dawson that time. A return of 3 and a solid first half for the Montreal Alouettes as the Bombers head to the dressing room down by 10. Bob Price has the lead at Olympic Stadium on guaranteed win night.
CFL Live at the half. Brought to you by Corel, world leader in CD-ROM technology.
Welcome back to the studio. This is a tight football game, and so far we have seen some absolutely outstanding defensive plays.
Oh, defense has been controlling this game. I think what Winnipeg has been doing to Montreal and Tracy Ham is confusing him a lot. They've been sending like 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. You only got 5 offensive linemen, and the 7 guys is really confusing them. I think it's scaring them out of the run, and then they're backing up and they're playing man sometimes and they're playing zone sometimes. I think that's really what Tracy's looking at.
But you know what, Les, though, when Winnipeg does bring 7 guys up front and they're rushing 5 and 6, and that is their game plan tonight, essentially they're playing into Tracy Ham's hands because Tracy Ham is a much better quarterback attacking a man-to-man defense than he is his own. Now, I know he hit Climby late in the half down the seam, and that was a great play, but the one touchdown pass that Climby caught was against the man-to-man defense. Tracy Ham didn't have to read coverage, and that's where he is better, and Winnipeg plays right into his hands.
Obi, how are they getting to Reggie Slack?
Well, I'll tell you what, before you get to Reggie Slack, I think you should give some credit to that Montreal offensive line because we talked about it at the top of the show that was going to be the difference. And they're doing a heck of a job, and they are running the ball with some regularity, but they're giving him much better protection compared to Reggie. Reggie's not getting the time to throw the ball.
We featured a couple of players off the top of the show, one being K.D. Williams. He has been absolutely outstanding in that first half. The same can be said for Grant Carter. He's played very, very well, and he's been getting to Reggie Slack. What we will do is we'll take a short break. We're just getting warmed up here at the Corral Halftime Show. You stay tuned. We're back with more in just a few moments.
CFL Legends brought to you by Corel. For 10 seasons, he anchored Winnipeg's offensive line. More on Frank Rigney in a moment.
If you want full office suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers office suite power at a word processor price.
As a member of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from 1958 to 1967, Frank Rigney was one of the CFL's most dominant linemen.
They give to Lewis, trying to get him outside. Rigney sets the block on Lachlan to turn Lewis into the middle to the 25.
3 times, Rigney was an All-Canadian and was voted the league's most outstanding lineman in 1961. You can see more on Rigney and other CFL legends at the Canadian Football Hall of Fame in Hamilton.
Now, going into tonight's action, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the Edmonton Eskimos, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders were all tied at 2-2 out west. On Friday night, the Roughriders will play host to Doug Flutie and company. We'll have the game for you. It starts at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. That's 6 o'clock Pacific Time. What will Saskatchewan have to do offensively to put some points on the board against the Argos D?
We have to play with a tremendous amount of execution on our defense against a very talented Toronto offense. Their offensive line is very, very good, a very capable one. Our pass rush has been very good so far this season, as has our coverage. So we have a lot of good matchups, but there's going to be very challenging matchups. And then on our side of the ball, offensively, we have got to move the ball and keep our defense off the field, keep the ball out of Doug Flutie's hands.
They're a good defense. You know, they got two ends, Cofield and Alex Gordon. That they play real well. I think it's going to be a tough game.
We have to put points up, and we know that. But we also have a good defense, and our defense is not letting people just go out there and march them down the field either. So, you know, right now we think if the defense have them going 2 and out, sometimes, we're going to get into some kind of groove on offense, and we're going to start clicking soon.
Well, it's going to be physical. Those guys are big. They like to get after you a lot, especially when you got Doug behind you. He's going to move it around, make it a lot easier for them to get angles on us and things like that. So it's going to be physical.
Now, tomorrow night, the Edmonton Eskimos are on the road as they hit the nation's capital, and they will play the Ottawa Rough Riders. The Eskimos enter the game at 2-2, but it's 2 straight losses, which is unfamiliar territory.
I don't think it's ever a desperate situation, but it's almost close to what they call a quote-unquote a must-type win. And just to stay with the leaders in the West, I mean, all the teams are playing pretty well in the Western Division, and it just matters if we want to get into the playoffs. I mean, this is the 5-team side, so if we want to get in there, we got to be in the top 3, and that's what we're looking for.
The situation isn't desperate, I don't think, with us, but I think our attitude sort of is, in that we realize that we're so much better than what we've proven so far. So in that respect, we are not desperate, but very anxious for a real solid performance and, another win.
Ottawa, good team, just haven't, things haven't gone their way, but, looking at our situation, we're hungry. We shouldn't be 2-2 right now. And, once we do get out there against Ottawa, I hope we can turn the tables a little bit and get back on that win side.
I love it. Obi was talking about Shalon Baker. He loves this kid because Shalon went to the same school as Obi. Mind you, you went there in about the 30s. You graduated in about 36 or something like that.
Our conference doesn't exist anymore.
That's how old it is. Let's stay out west and let's talk about the BC Lions. They have made numerous changes. Most notably, they've got Damon Allen.
I think that's I'm glad to see Damon back in the CFL for one, which I don't think he should have been out so long, but I think it's going to be mighty hard for him to come back right now and to jump right into things unless he's really, really familiar with Joe Palpal's scheme of things. I think they made a good move with releasing the people they released because they weren't really doing the job for him. I don't care what number 00 says about Mike McCarthy being prejudiced. I don't buy it at all. I know Mike very well. I have to take up for him.
You're talking about Clarence Verdun, and you're talking about Andre Ware, and you didn't like Clarence Verdun wearing the 00 because that was your old number, and you didn't like him from the get-go. But you've seen Damon Allen a lot in this league, Baba Bilic. As a matter of fact, we all have. What does he bring to the table?
Oh, I think he's the experienced guy that they've been looking for, and I think that they hope that he's going to give them that kind of leadership. And you know, Marty's not here to say I told you so, but he did mention that scenario, and as it turns out, he showed up
wait a minute.
and much
Coach.
to Leaf's chagrin.
Coach, he mentioned it, but he also said that Damon was going to Saskatchewan and he was going to Edmonton, and the only reason he didn't say he was going to Toronto was because Doug Flutie's in Toronto, so he couldn't mention that, so he covered all the bases.
He did cover all of them.
Let me talk just for a minute about the Saskatchewan-Toronto game on Friday night. I'm going to have a chance to go out and do that. I'm really looking forward, number one, to get out to Taylor Field. The fans are terrific out there. They've got a team that's 2-2 and maybe an offense that might round into form. Warren Jones, only 1 touchdown pass. He's got to get a little more active. But I'm telling you, I get a chance to see Toronto, I get the chance to see them practice because we're here in Toronto. This team is a heck of a good football team, and it's only going to get better and better. Agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the key thing with that football team right now is that Doug is getting used to his receiving core. He seems to be using Mazzotti and Tyrone Williams, but Fairholm and Cunningham aren't getting a lot of balls, and then he's using the backs really well. So once they get everybody into sync, they'll be really tough on offense.
And I tell you, though, I got to be really impressed with Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's front four puts a ton of pressure on people. They have a really good defense. They have a good defensive backfield as well. And they have a good offensive line. They got a good running back. They just have to start getting things spread around through the offensive receivers.
And one thing I'd like to say about that team, Coach Daly in particular and his staff, they play with a lot of intensity. Those guys are hard-playing guys, and as a coach, you always look for that if your team's intense game in and game out. And they played very well in Hamilton and could have come out of there with a win. And as you mentioned, Leaf, the quarterbacking's the key thing with that team.
Yeah, it's really going to be the key on Friday night with Warren Jones. I mean, he's going to have to. I mean, the old adage is, you know, the best way to beat a Doug Flutie team is to keep Flutie off the field. So Saskatchewan can do that. I tell you one thing, with all the things that we've talked about, it's going to be a terrific matchup, and I, for one, am looking forward to being out there in a couple of days.
So am I, gentlemen, and we're looking forward to this upcoming half. This has been an intense football game. There's been some pushing and some shoving, and it's been good, hard-nosed football. We'll be back in a moment.
The Real Plus Savings Plan. It's for people like Danny Logue, who saves every time he feels like calling, no matter what the time of the day or night. And that's important to him whenever he finds himself needing a little help. Savings every time. Another way to save with Real Plus. It's more than just discounts.
You probably missed breakfast, too. Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal bars, part of a complete breakfast. Good food on the go. Hitting the snooze button too many times? Kellogg's Nutri-Grain cereal bars, part of a complete breakfast. Good food on the go.
Welcome back to our studio. It's guaranteed win night in Montreal, and so far so good for the Alouettes, but there is still a lot of football to be played as we head back to Olympic Stadium.
It may be a guarantee, but there's a long way to go, as you say, Darren. It was the first half of kickers as Terry Baker goes 4 for 4. Troy Westwood goes 3 for 3, and the 1 touchdown for Jock Climby. When you looked at this, though, Glenn, yards rushing for the Blue Bombers tells a big part of the tale in the Subway stats.
Yeah, well, you see 7 yards rushing, and we saw Reggie Slack on his back all game. He was getting tremendous pressure from a good front 4 rush from Montreal. Now, in order to slow down that pressure, they have to get that rushing game involved. They have to start making that defensive line, and Grant Carter and the boys, they have to start making them read the run first before they pin their ears back and get that pass rush.
Does Slack have to take off himself, too?
Absolutely. Slack has to break that containment, try and buy himself some more time, but the rushing game is important for them right now.
Blue Bombers have been unable to do that in the first half at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. And just 1 touchdown on the board. It's Jock Climby's second of the season. Tracy Ham, a 36-yarder. The Alouettes on top by 10 at halftime.
If you want full office suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel WordPerfect Suite. Corel WordPerfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel WordPerfect Suite delivers office suite power at a word processor price.
Hi, I'm Tim. Today, we've secretly disconnected this bartender's draft tabs to make a point. Now, the Bat Genuine draft in a can is the same as keg draft, but can his customers tell the difference? Let's ask.
I can't tell the difference. Can you tell the difference?
You see?
I can't tell the difference. Can you tell the difference?
No. Run the clip.
For the fresh taste of keg draft sealed in a can, Labatt Genuine Draft.
Time for the taste test.
Wait, we can't.
Shooting draft in a beer commercial is against the law.
But we can hold it.
The diamond engagement ring. How else could 2 months' salary last forever?
Captured live in the first half in Montreal. Number 44, K.D. Williams. But it's standing back here at 25. Dexter Dodson. It took 2 to get to him there. 26. He's the terror, isn't he? Range to the 25. Hand swings it off a little low. And on Michael Soule.
Definitely the story of the Bomber defense in the opening half, number 44, K.D. Williams. He's pumped.
Hey, the story in the opening half and the opening part of this football season for Winnipeg. But he gets around the ball. He just has a nose for the football.
Reggie Slack did not have his finest hour. A couple of drop passes, 5 of 18 for 70 yards, the 1 interception. Tracy Ham, 9 of 16 for 141. 0 interceptions and the 1 touchdown toss to Jock Climby. Tracy was hot last week in the second half of Montreal's first victory of the season. Ready for the second half kickoff. Terry Baker tees it up at the 35. Baker and Jackson. Deep for Winnipeg. Shannon Baker on the tightrope along the near side. Not much of a return. 7 yards after the 52-yard kickoff.
All right, Reggie Slack has to come in now, throw some screen passes, maybe a couple draw plays, run the ball on first down a little bit more, trying to get a little bit of a running game established so that he can take some of the heat off him. He's been on the run all game.
And he'll be sore in the morning from what's transpired in the first half. He's been nailed several times.
Gary Rogers has been at the other end of some of those hits.
On first down at the 31, they'll try and run. And this is the best run of the ball game for Winnipeg. Rendell Jackson, number 34. Well past the first down yardage. He has 21. And quickly the Bombers are out near midfield.
And you can see right away what they're trying to do. Establish that running game. Just going to run a little counter play, and Rendell Jackson breaks it to the outside. He sees everyone fold down underneath, and it's a pretty nice run. But now what that kind of does is it slows that pass rush down a little bit. Now Grant Carter and the boys up front from Montreal have to check and see if maybe Rendell Jackson's getting the football before they hit off in that pass rush.
Montreal leading 19-9. Second quarter just underway, and they try Rendell Jackson again. Less success this time. Grabbed by Gary Rogers. Running games have looked vastly different for these two teams so far. Jackson's big carry in the second half, 5 for 20 yards. Tyrone Rush has 7 for 58.
Rush has done a nice job of breaking that initial tackle. He's first guy that hits Rush in this game, hasn't been able to bring him down.
Loss of 1, 2nd and 11. Bombers back to the 50. Slack is down, lost the ball. Carter was there. Number 54, Grant Carter.
Well, now Grant Carter comes from the outside, gets a sack, and there's a little bit of a celebration from Grant Carter, and he has to start working on that. He had a couple of sacks last week, and now he's coming back right here. He's going to come from the outside on the straight pass rush and working on big Eddie Blake from the outside. Comes back underneath, and he's actually glad that Reggie Slack picked up that fumble, because now he gets a sack in the stats instead of
instead of the fumble, which happened to him last week. Second sack of the ball game. 4th in 2 games for Grant Carter, as Dexter Dawson stands back at his 25. Cameron calls a timeout. The head count wasn't quite right, I believe, or at least the alignment wasn't.
Cameron's going to try and figure out exactly. He might have counted wrong, because I don't see any Winnipeg Blue Bomber coming out there. No. And Cal doesn't look like he's in a panic to find someone on the bench to get in there. So maybe the veteran Bob Cameron just counted it up wrong and then thought he was missing one, so he called the timeout.
Or else he didn't like the way things were lined up.
Well, I don't know. Now, he's a veteran, but I don't know if he's going to audible at a punt formation.
Well, so he counted wrong.
Now what?
Cameron in his 16th CFL season. A couple of thousand yards shy of 100,000 punted in the CFL. Dexter Dawson draws a penalty marker and loses big time here. Can't turn the corner, and he's forced out back near the 21. K.D. Williams, number 44, has a winning smile, doesn't he?
Well, how would you like to line up against this guy? I mean, not only will he knock your block off, but then he'll smile, he'll blind you as you're trying to catch the ball. Look at those teeth.
It says KW there now. If he should happen to get kicked in the teeth out there and lose those choppers, he'd be looking for them for a long time because they're expensive.
Well, I don't know. The way they were built there, it looks like you'd lose your cleats. Break a shoe if you kicked him. And you better knock him out because he'll get up and be swinging. This is what could end up if you mess with K.D. Williams right here. I'm not sure who the injured player is.
Can't tell from here. Alouettes have the lead by 10. It's 19-9 and lots of time to go at Olympic Stadium, Montreal, with a pretty nice crowd on hand for this one tonight. It is 2-for-1 nights and guaranteed win night by Jim Sparrows, the owner.
Alan Wetmore.
Wetmore heads to the sidelines. We'll take a quick time up on CFL Live from Montreal.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. If your name appears below, you may have won $300 in MasterCard Traveler's checks from Bank of Montreal. Enjoy unsurpassed acceptance and replacement service worldwide. Now available in 11 major currencies. Or the new Dirt Devil Ultra Hand Vac. Twice the power and twice the convenience, now with handy attachments on board. And the new Broom Vac. It sweeps and vacuums in one simple step. Touchdown to Win ballots. Available exclusively at all participating Safeway stores.
What is Kellogg's Mueslix? Mueslix cereal has home-baked tastes like delicious apple crisp. Mueslix is an abundance of textures, ingredients like crispy flakes of whole grain, flavors of fruit, cascades of nuts, and crunchy granola. And now we bring you Kellogg's new apple crisp Mueslix. Kellogg's Mueslix. Wake up to home-baked taste.
CFL Live on TSN. Brought to you in part by Diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi has no diet aftertaste. By the Keg Steakhouse and Bar, where good friends get together to enjoy great steaks and share some fun. And by the Alliance of Canada's only full-service telecommunications companies, proud sponsors of the Canadian Olympic team.
That's back live for the Montreal first down. As the Alouettes begin at the 45-yard line, make it the 44, the 46, I should say. Tyrone Rush has been running well. Not much on first down there.
Well, he can break a few tackles, but I mean that's the whole defensive line and linebacking crew for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And that might be a little too much to ask.
Alouettes on their last 5 possessions have scored on 4 of them and punted only once.
And any head coach in the league will tell you they'll take that.
Been Terry Baker's night so far, good on 4 of 4. Here's Tracy Ham on second down, and he'll have enough for the first down, I do believe, or very close to it. Jock Climby.
You know, when you go to the wide receiver position, you need speed. You need to have speed guys out there, but Tracy Ham needs a smarter type of player on the inside. Jock Climby read that blitz there and got open for his quarterback so he could get rid of it before he got hammered.
It will be a first down, Montreal. Climby has been the most effective receiver for Montreal so far tonight. That's his 4th catch. And as we add it up, 84 yards and the only touchdown of the ball game. Michael Souls gets up ahead of steam and rolls across the 45. So the Alouettes have been able to run
Well, Winnipeg starts to think that they have it defensively figured out against this Montreal Alouette offense, and then start dropping and thinking about Tyrone Rush on the running plays and Jock Climby and Chris Armstrong on the pass, and then they go and give it to Michael Souls and throw everything out of whack.
Winnipeg 26 rushing yards, most of it here in the third quarter. There were 7 yards total in the first half. On second down, Tyrone Rush should have the 2 yards necessary, but there's a marker there.
There's a lot of movement up around the line of scrimmage from both teams. Winnipeg was showing blitz and jumping up in their gaps.
Penalty going against Montreal.
When they did that, they obviously drew someone from that offensive line, Montreal offside.
Procedure, Montreal number 81, speed second down.
So Chris Armstrong hasn't quite got the rolls, the Ray Elgard roll start just quite down pat. It's a little bit too quick when you hit the line of scrimmage there.
Bob Price began his CFL career in Ottawa, then moved on to Saskatchewan, and then Baltimore last year, part of the Grey Cup champion Baltimore Stallions. In his first year as a head coach in Montreal. Tracy Ham with the penalty, looking at 2nd and 8. And looking deep. Fralick was the intended receiver, and Greers couldn't make the interception.
Well, it was a question there as to whether or not he intercepted it and then dropped it in the end zone. Joe Kralik went over there to try and recover it, and to see the extra stuff that's going on back at the line of scrimmage here. These two teams are...
It's been a feisty affair, to say the least.
It certainly has, and I'm sure it started out with the guaranteed win sort of situation for Winnipeg. I know that got them fired up, but...
I don't see a flag down there anywhere, in spite of the fact that the officials were in to break it up. And they're playing one official short with field judge Don Ellis out of the ball game with a rib injury.
No, the end result was the incomplete pass. They ruled that Greg Frears dropped that ball instead of had it and then fumbled it. So
Fralick was the intended receiver, I do believe, but he was a ways away from the play. Baker to Baker. This is Shannon Baker returning, takes a pretty good hit right on the 26-yard line. The Alouettes hang on to a 10-point lead. It's 19-9 on CFL Live.
Great football. Great software. Join the winning team. It's unbeatable.
McDonald's, really, really proud sponsor of the Olympic Games.
Check out the rippin', twistin', crispin' stylin' of McCain Super Spirals. Whoa! Seriously twisted fries. McCain starts with its famous super fries, adds a twist, and rolls them in a light-tasting batter. And then a dash of spice for crunch after crunch of super seasoned satisfaction. McCain is twisting, spinning, and jumping your way. McCain Super Crisps and Super Spirals. Seriously twisted fries.
Nice crowd on hand here at Olympic Stadium in Montreal tonight. Drum roll, please.
Hey,
drum rolls.
there it is.
32,364. It's 2 for 1 night, but rather impressive audience here enjoying a pretty decent football game by the hometown guys.
I think they're being entertained, much like they were in the home opener against the Toronto Argos when they saw a great football game, and see their team up so far tonight.
Montreal by 10 as Slack takes over for the Blue Bombers. looking deep, and a man out there couldn't quite catch up with a receiver on the far side of the field. Shannon Baker, or rather Milt Stiegel, number 85.
Yeah, Milt Stiegel ran the out and up to go down the sideline. We're going to pick it up just near the end of the play, and guess who's covering him again? Done a great job all night. Right in his hip pocket is Harold Nash. Harold Nash has an interception and a knockdown after a couple of games playing for this Montreal Alouette football team, and he's doing a great job tonight covering those Winnipeg receivers. He's been left out there in a lot of man-to-man coverage situations with no free safety help too, and talk to the halfbacks and corners, and they'll tell you that's when you're hanging it out to dry. You got to cover your guy.
2nd and 10, Slack under intense pressure, and he threw it out of bounds. Wow. No other choice, really. There were 3 Alouettes in his backfield.
He has not been able to plant his feet and throw yet tonight because of that guy, Grant Carter. And that last play, Charlie Gordon from the halfback was blitzing. Paul Randolph was up there. I mean, Reggie Slack has not had any time to throw. It's not his fault that he's not moving this team offensively. You can't throw as a quarterback. I don't care how good you are, how many All-Stars you got. It's awful tough.
Cameron a little off form tonight. Dexter Dawson. And nowhere to go again for Dawson. Wrapped up by Doug Hocking. 5-yard return. Don Narcisse and the Rough Riders host Doug Flutie and the Argonauts on Friday on CFL Live. 9 o'clock Eastern time from Taylor Field in Regina. Lee Pedersen is along on that one. You're on a night off.
That's a night off. You know, I know the Argos are favored. I think Vegas has them by 6.5. But hey, you know, I watched Saskatchewan play Hamilton, and their secondary shut down that Hamilton receiving corps pretty good in that game. So
tough to get that green and white out of your shorts, isn't it?
Well, I'm just saying that's going to be a good football game. I mean, Saskatchewan's got a pretty good defense.
I think so too. Riders at 2-2. Nice run.
Well, there's
by Tyrone Rush.
There is some hitting going on that football field. I mean, we are way up here in the Big O, and there was like some crunch, and we could hear that kind of move the monitor a little bit. Okay, well, not quite that bad, but
here's the crunch.
There's bodies flying all over and some big-time helmet-to-helmet hitting going on.
2nd and 6. Flags down as Ham tried to go over the middle for Climby, who's been his favorite target in
Bobby Evans
tight coverage.
Bobby Evans tried to come from his halfback position on the blitz, and he got a little anxious and jumped offside.
Offside. Winnipeg number 33. 2nd down.
Way to go, Hawkeye.
Well, what he does is he's coming on the halfback blitz. Halfbacks only get to blitz once or twice a game. He's right to the right. There you see him jump. Got a little anxious, tried to get back, didn't do it in time, and got caught.
So it'll be 2nd and a yard to go for the Alouettes at the Blue Bomber 53. Montreal leading 19-9. Halfway through the 3rd quarter. And that'll be another Alouette first down. Tyrone Rush taking advantage of his first starting opportunity in the Montreal backfield.
I think that Bob Price can be pretty happy with the performance he's got out of Tyrone Rush. He's done had a lot of nice runs on the play. He's broken a lot of tackles, getting the open field. He's quick, he's good on special teams, and boy, Jim Popp and Bob Price do a nice job of finding the personnel. When someone goes down the quality of Mike Saunders, they have a guy like Tyrone Rush to fill his spot. Nice luxury.
Ham looking at 1st and 10, goes to Rush again. Nice turn around the corner. And there's another big hit. Was that KD?
I'm telling you. John Kropke and KD Williams. That was bigger than the last hit. I mean, Kropke weighs 271. Tyrone Rush weighs about 200. And Tyrone Rush held his own on the play. I mean, he came over to the sideline there. Kropke met him just as they were getting there. You're going to see just to the left corner there, bang! Stood him up, and
Boy, Tyrone Rush got up after that. Katie Williams was in there again. There's some hitting going on.
Now at the Bomber 40, 1st and 10. Montreal, 6:26 to go. Third quarter. Ham with time. Floated it out into no man's land.
That was coverage.
Armstrong was the closest receiver.
Well, Gerald
But really,
Vaughn,
he just got rid of it, didn't he?
yeah, Gerald Vaughn has had his problems tonight with Armstrong and Jock Climby, but not that play. He was all over Chris Armstrong. Tracy Ham had plenty of time in the pocket, but just didn't have anyone to throw to. And Gerald Vaughn's a veteran, spent some time in Calgary. 4 interceptions in '94 for the Stampeders, and Ham knows that he's going to win some of those battles when you're talking Gerald Vaughn against Chris Armstrong and Jock Climby.
3 years in Calgary for Vaughn. He played 17 games in '95. It was the last cut of the Stampeders in '96 and quickly grabbed by Winnipeg. Ham looking at 2nd and 10 now. And markers are down in a hurry.
Well, Winnipeg.
Time count?
Looked like he's saying procedure.
Procedure. Montreal number 58. Still second down.
That's Michelle Lammy, the right guard, making his 2nd start for the Alouettes. Native of Sorel, Quebec.
Spent a couple years in Saskatchewan. Was actually there when I was there. He's a good one. He says at 265 in the program, but he told me just before the game he's closer to about 305.
It's a slight difference on the scale, isn't it?
Well, I think it's something that he just didn't want me to let Bob Price know.
Michael Souls broke out of there on 2nd and 15. Slight delay. And he gets halfway to a 1st down, but
well, it's not a bad call on 2nd and 10. I don't know that I like it on 2nd 15 to try and run the draw to Michael Souls. And Michael Souls might pick up 8 or 9 for you on that kind of play, because you're going to fool the defense somewhat because they're thinking pass all the way. Souls going to pick it up. He has to hesitate there. That slows him down, and then it's obviously too far to pick up that 1st down.
That gets a few yards closer for Terry Baker. 4 for 4. And he's 5 for 5, a 43-yarder that time. Jump out of night for Terry Baker as he gets the Alouettes a 22-9 lead.
If you want full office suite power at a word processor price, look no further than Corel Word Perfect Suite. Corel Word Perfect Suite includes an exceptionally intelligent word processor, an award-winning spreadsheet, amazing presentation graphics, plus business graphics and utilities, hundreds of fonts and thousands of clip art images. Corel Word Perfect Suite delivers office suite power at a word processor price.
The definition of a mother, your mom. The definition of one tough mother, every CFL player. When it comes to football, there's only one way to play it. The right way. Our way. Radically Canadian. The Canadian Football League. It's our game. It's longer, wider, faster, and more exciting. Every game is an event, a party. Canadian football has been a tradition for over 105 years, and it's still kicking. The CFL. Now you too can be a radical Canadian by wearing radical hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and golf shirts, all from Starter Canada. Get radical from only $19.99. Call 1-800-545-5757. These items are not available in any store. The only way you can get radical is to call now. Dare to be different. Get radical. Be Canadian. The Canadian Football League, it's radically Canadian. Call 1-800-545-5757 now.
The Price is Right, $32,000 on hand at Olympic Stadium tonight. Happy times for the owner, Jim Sparrow, standing by with Michael Whalen.
Thank you very much, John. Well, Jim, 32,000 plus, as John just mentioned. I guess with a 13-point lead, you're not too worried about your bravado of guaranteeing a win.
Well, Mike, I'll say this. The fans responded. I think we've turned the corner here in Montreal.
Listen, I'd like to know who is running the concessions. Do you get the money from all the people that are in here buying all those hot dogs and beers?
Well, first of all, we have a partnership here with Versaback, and they've done an outstanding job tonight. The people from Molson's, it's been a tremendous night for the fans here in Montreal.
All right, Jim, I hope you breathe a little bit more easily if your club gets you a couple more points, and you can relax about your guaranteed win.
Well, Mike, that'll certainly be a change. I've been under a lot of pressure the last 6 months, so this will be fantastic if we can pull a win out here tonight.
All right, back up to you, John Glenn.
The guarantee is on the table, but this one is not over yet. Nice to see.
Well, it's not
32,000 here.
Whatever happens in this football game, I mean, Jim Spiro's got a lot of people in the park to see his product, and see the injury on the field right now. I'm not sure what number it is.
I think it's Demetrius Maxey, number 99.
Yeah, it is Demetrius Maxey. They're looking at that knee, it looks like. But Spiros has got, 32,000 plus in here to see his product, and they're ahead right now. And here's Maxey right here. Let's just take a look and see exactly what happened on that play. He's working up in there on Dave Van Conant in the center, and then right there he gets rolled on. I'm not sure the number, but
Van Conant, I think, the center.
Gets that knee rolled on, and that's exactly how it happened to Michael Saunders last week, and now Demetrius Maxey's going to have to try and shake this one off if he can. And Bob Price hopes that he can get back in that football game. That was a key loss when he was thrown out against the Calgary Stampeders. He's putting a lot of weight on it, so it looks like he'll be back.
So that puts David Pitcher into the ball game with Demetrius Maxey out. We talked about Pitcher before, one-time slot back and fullback in Saskatchewan, who's beefed up a little bit to play the defensive line.
Yeah, he came into camp and they moved him immediately to the defensive line, and Bob Price thought he did a pretty good job up there, so he is the backup guy in the nose tackle position. But it's one thing to do it in training camp and practice. It's another to play nose guard in a game.
Reggie Slack picked up 12 yards on the previous play. Looking at 1st and 10 here. And it'll be tough to get it away. Stiegel was the intended receiver, number 85. And again, Slack had no real opportunity to plant and fire.
He sure doesn't. I mean, here's an offensive line with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that, coming into this game, we're 2nd in the CFL and giving up only 5 sacks. It's not bad. Got a veteran group led by Chris Walby, Dave Van Conant at center, Brett McNeil at the guard, and they're tonight are not giving Reggie Slack enough time to throw the football.
2nd and 10. Bombers at the Winnipeg 47. Nice hole opening up for Jackson. He's out to midfield. At the 55, Rendell Jackson.
Well, is it time? Hey, is it time for Cal Murphy to maybe take a chance here?
I don't know if he's close enough. He leads a good 2 yards.
About 2 yards. The punt team's coming in. I mean, he knows how it works in the CFL. It's only 3rd quarter. Lots of time in the football game to make up these points. And they may have a faking ball, too. You never know. I mean, this is the perfect spot to run fakes. You're about midfield. It doesn't work. Your defense still has a chance to stop Montreal. So he gave Bob Cameron a little look there when he went out. We may see something fancy here.
So if you're coaching, you'd call the fake here.
If I'm coaching, I might call it here.
You're not coaching.
Oh, and he crushed the punt.
Dexter Dawson lost it in the ceiling, I believe.
Well,
and it rolls all the way through. A 75-yard single for Bob Cameron. Here are the running backs, how they stack up. 7 carries for Jackson, 26, 11 carries for Rush, 78.
Yeah, Rendell Jackson actually had 28 yards the last time we saw him, so since then he's lost 2. Not so with Tyrone Rush.
Flag in the end zone after the punt sailed through, so there was some rough stuff going on in there. And
well, I think it came after the play. I mean, the ball bounced through the end zone, and then there was a scrum down there where the ball bounced out.
Major foul, face mask, Montreal number 11. 1st down.
It's Jason Bryant
So you're going to see there's Jason Bryan at the top of your screen. A couple of hits there, and then he gets in a little bit of a scrum here and starts
Jason
pushing
Bryan
and
got
shoving
the
a little
worst
bit.
of that. He got nailed about 3 times.
Well, that's why he got the penalty. He was frustrated. He got hit a couple times and got up swinging. Bob Price will make sure he mentions that. Hey, that's part of the game. You're going to get knocked down every now and then. Just get up and get him next play. Don't take a bad penalty.
Don't take it personally.
Right.
Ham on first down. This is Tyrone Rush trying to cut around the left side. And he's within a couple of the first down.
I think he hurt himself. He hurt his
Charlie
hamstring.
Clemens put the hit on Rush.
And he hurt his hamstring. It looked like when he made one of those cuts to break to the outside, he hesitated when he broke on his right foot, and it looked like his hamstring went, and he looks like he's in pain right now.
Mike Saunders already on the sidelines.
We're going to take a look at it, and he's going to get the pitch out coming right to your living right here. Now watch this break right there, and then another one just to the outside, and it looks like he's dragging it now.
Came up lame.
Yeah, he grabs it immediately.
Saunders has a knee injury. He's on the injury list right now.
Now sometimes, you know, and it's kind of humid in this building, it can just be a cramp, and as soon as you make that cut, it sort of cramps up, and it scares you a little bit because you think you pulled it, so you just get down and kind of grab onto it. And hopefully for Montreal and their fans, that's all that Tyrone Rush has. He looks like he's walking pretty good as he heads to the sideline. Oh boy, he's been a pleasant surprise coming out of that tailback position.
Talked about Mike Saunders.
Of course, out with the knee injury he suffered last week against the BC Lions, and he says he's a couple weeks before he'll be back. At least that's what the doctors say, and they're going to be obviously pretty careful with his knee. And Bob Price is looking at the bench thinking, okay, now who can play running back?
Number 1. Dexter Dawson.
Actually did a pretty good job. He came in a little bit for Mike Saunders against the BC Lions. Did a pretty good job out of that running back position as well. He also backs up as a defensive back.
And is the number 1 kick returner.
Dexter Dawson does it all.
Montreal looking at 2nd and 2 back at the Alouettes 28.
I'll have to do that one again.
Who moved first?
3 or 4 offside, exactly. Who was the first one to move?
Oh, yeah. Have you got a shot of the scoreboard here at Olympic Stadium? The fans are a little upset because somebody hit the wrong button, and it's got the Bombers on top, 27-22. That is not correct, folks.
The Alouettes have the lead.
Nick Subis from the center position was the guy who was caught legal procedure there, so Montreal have to start again.
Another penalty marker goes down as Ham connects. See where they spot the ball for Jock Climby.
Now this is in the holding range, this penalty marker. Right in that holding area, right where that offensive front 5 for Montreal is trying to hold off the Winnipeg pass rush.
Holding, Montreal number 58. Repeat, 2nd down.
And Michel Lamy. Michel Lamy is right there. Let's follow him and see exactly how. Oh yeah, right underneath Colin Scribner. Kind of grabbed around his face mask. Looked like he was a pretty good call by the official.
Tracy Ham looking at 2nd and a whole bunch. Dexter Dawson takes it swinging out of the backfield and couldn't come up with a first down. They needed 16.
Tracy Ham is slow to get up. I mean, Tony Hill put a hit on him when he threw that ball. He had to wait for Dexter Dawson to get all the way across the field before he could dump it off, and he paid the price for it. See Big Neil Fort kind of put his arm around him, and Ham said, hey, 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 that's the sore shoulder. Get that big thing off me.
That's Dawson's first catch.
You see
Ford
him.
is 6'7", 310.
He's waiting for Dexter Dawson to come all the way across the middle, and there's the hit by Tony Hill. 265, plants one in his ear.
Baker on third down to Shannon Baker. Pretty good return out near midfield at the 53. So Slack has something to work with.
Well, Ken Austin's down there with Cal Murphy. You know he's going to try and help out and do everything he can, but he'll tell you as been playing out there that you can't do anything from a passing quarterback when you're getting pass rush like he is. And they got to remove those, throw in those screen passes and draw plays to help him out. There's the distribution Reggie Slack has had. Pretty even across the board, but he's been on the run all of those 5 completions, I guarantee it.
Bombers have only had 3 completions to the left side all season, which is interesting to note. This is Dean Lytle taking the pass from Slack and losing a bit.
Well, that's unbelievable pursuit. I mean, got a pretty good player in Lytle coming out to the sideline, and guess who runs him down? Big Doug Peterson. But I asked Ken Austin about Dean Lytle before the game, and he said, you know what, this guy is a stud. I mean, he hears that you talk about guys who run 4.4 in the 40 and all that, and half the time they're making it up, but this guy apparently is a legitimate 4.4 40 guy, and he weighs 240 pounds at fullback. They love him.
First time he's had his hands on the ball. Slack on 2nd and 13. Has time this time. And look for Stiegel, who turned the other way.
Well, that time he had the time. I mean, finally Cal Murphy sees his offensive line do a pretty nice job of giving Reggie Slack some time to throw, but he can't find a receiver downfield. Montreal did a good job in the coverage. So Bob Cameron has to make another trip out there.
Into the final minutes of the third quarter as Cameron stands back near his 35. He'll kick to Dexter Dawson.
Oh, he shanked it.
Not deep, but shanked. Dawson on a couple of bounces. Stopped at the 26. Here's Michael Whalen.
Well, Dexter Dawson should be getting lots of work from here on in, John. Just talked to Tyrone Rush. He has a pull hamstring, and he's done for the game. He's really disappointed. He's almost, well, I wouldn't say crying, but he's certainly a very disappointed man. He wanted to really show well tonight, and as you know, he has done very, very well through the first 3 quarters.
Well, it was his night to shine.
Well, more bad news for Bob Price. Another injury, another same position. Now it'll be Dexter Dawson's mail to carry for the remainder of this game and possibly next week.
First down for the Alouettes. Montreal 25. A little play action fake for Ham, and he got it to Armstrong. Rolled over at the 35. That's the end of the third quarter at Olympic Stadium, Montreal, with the Alouettes on top at 22-10.
CFL Live at the Quarter is brought to you by Bank of Montreal. It is possible.
Obi, you said it was imperative for Montreal to establish a run. They did that.
Yes, they did, and it's unfortunate now that Rush is out of the game because he's been running with a lot of good drive, and their offensive line, once again, is making the offense click. And I think they made good adjustments, but putting Climby inside, and this is the best they've looked on offense this year.
But I don't understand why Tracy Ham isn't running the ball anymore. I mean, why abandon what made you great? I mean, when he ran the ball and he made things happen, and now he's not doing it. And if it's because he's afraid to get hurt, you get hurt more by sitting in the pocket, I believe.
But Les, you know, Tracy hasn't run the ball in 4 years. I mean, this is not news. I'll tell you what the problem for Winnipeg, I got to talk about them a little bit, is Reggie Slack. Now, here's a guy that got pulled in the opening game of the season, publicly said that Cal Murphy made a real bad mistake by doing that. He should be the starter, and of course they start Austin the next week. Now he gets to start tonight, Austin injured. This is a quarterback that's 6 of 22 after 3 quarters, and with that kind of production, I mean, there's absolutely no way they can win this football game. I'll tell you one thing, if I'm ever going to practice skeet shooting, Reggie's going to throw for me to practice.
You know what, though, Leaf, he's not getting a real good protection either. Their offensive line's not playing near as well as Montreal right now.
It's pretty tough to throw when you're on your back, too, when Brent Carter's happening.
You guys are being kind. Very good defensive game.
No, the stats speak for themselves. You're right about his performance, but I think it's part and parcel.
You're being kind.
Well, we'll see what happens in the 4th quarter. Let's get back to Olympic Stadium.
Next night in Montreal, we're having a little fun. All right, Suter. Left,
okay.
right.
Left
You got
arm,
it?
right arm,
Yeah.
arm out, arm in. No, I'm confused.
You're not bad.
Hey, they're having fun. That's what I look like.
Yeah, that was you.
That's exactly what I look like. Okay, left, right, left, okay.
All right, back to the action.
Well, there was some action there.
I thought there was. 2nd down, less than a yard to go. And the Alouettes will have the 1st down. Here are the numbers through 3 quarters at the Olympic Stadium tonight. 257 net yards compared to 103 for Reggie Slack and the Blue Bombers. Turnovers even. 1st down's fairly close too, but the total yardage has really been too much for the Bombers to overcome as you look into the eyes of John Kropke.
And in that nose tackle position for Stan Mikowicz. That's a pretty good job in there.
Here's Dexter Dawson on 1st down, and that's well defended by the Blue Bombers.
Yeah, led by Greg Clark and K.D. Williams. I mean, they are so active from the linebacker positions. I mean, Clark's their nominee for outstanding player. K.D. Williams was the nominee for the Rookie of the Year last year. Here comes Clark. Here comes the duo. One guy gets up there, makes him turn inside. Clark cleans him up. It's a pretty good tandem to have back there, linebacker.
Williams in low and slowed down. Doston. Loss of about a half a yard. Ham will have to put it up. Looking way deep and almost. Chris Armstrong. He might have had it. It would have been spectacular had he held on.
Well, Tracy Ham read the play perfectly. Greg Frères was caught up. Armstrong's coming right to the right of your screen. You see number 9 standing there a little shallow. Armstrong got in behind him. The ball was perfectly thrown. Just one problem. Didn't hang on.
Terry Baker with a field goal record for this franchise here tonight, 5. At least he has tied it. 5-yard return there after a 44-yard Terry Baker punt. Reggie Slack will try and turn it around for the Bombers when we come back.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. If your name appears below, you may have won the all-new Uniden 25-channel cordless phone and digital answering system. It's loaded with exceptional features, no tapes or moving parts. Uniden, built with quality that really goes the distance. Or durable Mikasa stoneware in the lifestyle pattern. It's oven, detergent, microwave, and dishwasher safe. For finest quality dinnerware, stemware, flatware, and gifts, Mikasa sets the standard. Touchdown to Win ballots available exclusively at all participating Safeway stores.
It began with his dream and his drive to win. He has triumphed in the North American IndyCar Racing Series. Now, Jacques Villeneuve reigns supreme. His crowning achievement will be the Formula One International Circuit, and the world will be watching. The Rotmans, Williams, Renault Formula One team, and Jacques Villeneuve. A new world to conquer.
Closed captioning of this CFL telecast is brought to you by Subway. Try Subway's great tasting classic Italian BMT.
Terry Baker with an opportunity to establish a franchise record. He has 5 tonight. A perfect night, 5 for 5. And accounting for most of the Montreal scoring here, 22-10. The Alouettes leading the Blue Bombers. Told me before the game he really didn't think he'd kicked very well at Olympic Stadium yet. Well, he's having a pretty nice night tonight. Slack and the Bombers on first down. Rendell Jackson, number 34. The running game, very inconsistent for Winnipeg since the start of the season. Jackson came out in the second half and had 1 big carry.
Well, even though they didn't get many yards on the play, it's one of those keep the defense honest running plays. You got to just slam it up in there. Cal Murphy knows you have to make that defensive line respect you, even if it's in the 4th quarter, to open up the passing game a little bit.
Gain is 3, 2nd and 7. Facing Slack and the Bombers now. 12:32 to go, 4th quarter. More heats, and he threw it away. They'll flag him on that. Randolph was through with Gary Rogers.
Spent 7 years in Winnipeg. Has 405 career tackles. That's 12th all time.
Intentional grounding. Winnipeg number 10. 3rd down.
Randolph forced it.
Yep. 12th all time in the CFL, and you know he wants a good game against his old teammates. He just takes off on the blitz. Doesn't disguise anything really, just heads right up the middle, fights off the block right there from Bob Pendelitis, and is all over Reggie Slack. Says, hey Reggie, let's go out for dinner after the game.
Bombers are on a flight
right after
the game. Charter home. Got a quick turnaround. They play the Stampeders in Winnipeg on Monday.
Well, you know the team didn't vote on that one.
You're absolutely right. And guess who's most upset? Chris Walby.
I bet.
One of the few Bombers who can remember the good old days in Montreal. Stan Mikowas also included in that, as is Bob Cameron on your screen right now. Guys who played in Montreal.
Steady. Oh! Car not riding as smoothly as you'd like? Well, suspension trouble could be in your struts, your shock, your springs, or your alignment. So, head over to Midas for a free inspection. They'll show you in writing not just what's wrong, but what needs fixing now and what can wait. That way, you get some choice in the matter. It's better than getting jerked around. Midas, the way it should be. Oh, big fella. Oh.
Who's next?
Tanker aground! Tanker aground! She spilled 1 million gallons of oil. That's an abstract number. This is reality.
1, the need. Protect the wonders of nature from the accidents of man. 2, the innovation. A massive floating sponge that soaks up oil before it contaminates the shore. That's 3M innovation.
With this, we help keep nature alive.
We make a difference in the world because we make the leap from need to innovation. 3M innovation.
Chris Walby playing in his 241st game in the CFL. His very first game was as a member of the Montreal Alouettes. Walby and a few friends got trapped in an elevator today at the Bombers Hotel. There were 12 Bombers inside. Walby was there, Mikowas was there, and 10 others. Capacity on the elevator suit said 2,000 pounds. Now, Walby and Mikowas are 620 between them.
The other 10 guys had to weigh what? 80 pounds apiece?
Yeah, you needed a lot of defensive backs in that elevator.
There's never been that much strain on an elevator wire ever.
They were stuck for 20 minutes. Ham on first down. Kralik has his first catch. Markers are down, however. So anyway, do you think Walby lost any weight 20 minutes in the elevator?
I think he probably broke the door down to get out. I think Jason Mallett is saying that Joe Kralik pushed off him there. See if Jake Ireland agrees.
Illegal participation. Montreal number 3. Repeat first down.
So Kralik went out under his own steam. If he was pushed out,
he can come back in and catch the ball. That's right. And I guess we missed it there at the beginning, but you see him just coming back in there.
Little detour.
Comes outside of Jason Mallett, comes back in. Official right on the spot.
So he's still waiting for his first reception as a member of the Alouettes. First and 20. Little drop play was whistled down.
Tony Hill jumped offside from the rush position on the right side of that defensive line, and it was so far offside that they had to blow it dead.
Offside, Winnipeg number 94, still first down.
Tracy Ham got in that stutter count, and
so Ham gets 5 yards back.
You know, those guys in the defensive line try and anticipate the snap count. They can see the ball peripherally, but they try and anticipate it and get the jump. Tracy Ham fooled.
This is first and 15 now for the Alouettes.
And this time he fooled himself.
11:01 to go, fourth quarter. Montreal on top by 12. It's 22-10.
Procedure, Montreal number 8, still first down.
So back to first and 20.
Just give him one back. Tracy Ham just pulled out of there too quickly and didn't get the ball, so that's a legal procedure on him. Right back where we started.
Ham from the shotgun. Rolling right. Chris Armstrong. Most of the way back for a first down. He needed 20.
Boy, you got to
came up with 17.
You got to be smart to play in that inside receiver position. I mean, Chris Armstrong knows defenses. He read that one perfectly, sat down, went back towards the middle of the field, broke off his pattern to help his quarterback out, get the big completion there for his team.
5 for 105 last week for Armstrong. Alouettes on 2nd and 3. Dexter Dawson tries to turn the corner. Actually ran straight ahead when he got there and has the first down. Great block by Michael Souls.
K.D. Williams was coming up from his linebacker position, had read the play nicely. Souls cuts right there. Greg Clark. Williams has to go out around and then misses the tackle. And you know what? He'll tell everybody, yeah, that was my fault. He was over there pointing to himself and said, that's my fault. Every now and then, even I make a mistake.
First down, Montreal. Ham steps up. Couldn't get it away and couldn't gain much when he decided to take off.
Well, Tony Hill kept working and finally ended up corralling Tracy Ham, because he does a pretty good job initially of getting rid of the Greg Clark. Has a shot at him. Angelo Snipes was in there. He had a shot, and then Tony Hill, just desperation with the right arm, tries to swing it out there, and that hurt him. He had to extend that right arm, and he landed right on it, so he's a little bit sore after it, but he'll take it when he gets to knock down the quarterback.
Ham actually did grab a couple. 2nd and 8. Souls swinging out of the backfield. Oh, what a great block.
Wow, what a great play by Montreal. It's a great call, and it was executed perfectly. Michael Souls is right here, and he's just going to swing out of the backfield. Tracy Ham's design play all the way, just looks down the field to throw out the defense a little bit. Bobby Evans gets caught, and you saw the hit right there by Kralik as he comes across and gives him the old decleater. Decleater, that's when your cleats are up in the air.
I got you now. Another Alouette first down, this time at the Bomber 24. Ham looks to go himself. He has the first down. And more, but a marker down near the 10.
Well, depends on what play it looked like. like it came after the play, so it could be holding on one of the Montreal receivers downfield, but I don't think that Tracy Ham called this play. I think he just decided to take off on his own.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver, Winnipeg number 13. Decline. First down.
As Gerald Vaughn, the 15-yard gain stands.
Yeah, he was fighting with Jock climbing downfield, so he gets called for the penalty. The play will stand, and Tracy Ham did a pretty good job, I think, of just taking that on his own. He knew that Greg Clark had been coming down hard to try and get him, so he fakes the pitch and breaks it outside.
Alouettes first and goal to go. Bomber 8.
Hey, Ham has to quiet the crowd here in Montreal. That's beautiful.
Ham to the end zone.
Oh!
Nigel Williams went over the back of the defender. Just about had it.
What a try by Nigel Williams. He did everything in his power to come up with that catch. You got to give credit to David Poole for hanging in there. He's right in the shoulder, and he keeps battling for that ball. You see Nigel Williams still trying to pick it up. He sticks with it all the way to the ground, just can't come up to it. Up with it, David Poole hangs in there just long enough to get it out of there.
Second and goal. Alouettes at the Bomber 8. And it's great to hear a roar in Montreal.
They're on their feet.
Ham has the corner. Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and a football crowd cheering for the Alouettes.
You gotta love it. They were on their feet to start the play. Tracy Ham gets a little pumped up and says, hey, I'm going to do it all by myself. Takes off for the corner, and that's when he's at his best. No one can catch him.
First touchdown run of the season for Tracy Ham. And the Alouettes are atop by 19.
Great football. Great software. Join the winning team. It's unbeatable.
NEPS is a direct marketer. Things like checks and forms and business cards and labels. You know, being in a small town doesn't hinder our business at all. The majority of our customers use either the Advantage toll-free phone or fax lines.
And really, the 1-800 lines are the lifeline between us and our customers. We've had an increase of about 35%.
If our 1-800 lines went down, we'd be out of business.
Advantage, providing solutions for business.
If you like action,
Welcome to the Gordie Howe exhibit.
you'll love the Hockey Hall of Fame. It's fun, it's surprising, it's interactive. The Hockey Hall of Fame. It's so much fun, you won't know what hit you.
Right now, the guarantee looks good for a Montreal Alouette victory made by owner Jim Spiros. Alouettes on top, 29-10. Tracy Ham has the latest touchdown, an 8-yard scamper.
Well, he's made that man pretty happy. Bob Price, the head coach.
Doesn't look like the smile of a coach with a 19-point lead, but there's still time to go, 7:08. And lots can happen, as you know.
Absolutely.
Shannon Baker returning for Winnipeg. Well covered by Henson. Quincy Charles, 14-yard return. Ham engineered a very impressive scoring drive, 10 plays to cover 54 yards, and finished it off himself.
Yeah, he really did mix it up well, and then he gets that crowd going. The crowd's on their feet, they're pumped up, and he says, forget trying to rely on a receiver to catch it. I'm going to do this one on my own. Takes off to the outside. No one can catch him. Vintage Tracy Ham.
Here Reggie Slack has a ways to get the Bombers back. Rendell Jackson, number 34. He's had more action in the second half. The Bombers have tried to establish a little something with the running game.
That was a new quarterback.
Hang on,
right
that's
now
Kevin McDougal.
Kevin McDougal's into the ball game. See if he can try and generate something. And it could be just because Reggie Slack's a little banged up and probably a little bit tired on that bench. He's been on the run all game. He's been pounded. So Kevin McDougal's in there right now for Winnipeg.
He dressed for 8 for the Bombers last season. Saw action in 3. And he's on target here. Stiegel makes the catch. Milt Stiegel is the biggest play of the night for the Bombers.
Well, in 3 games last year, Kevin McDougal, 61.5%. He can get it done. I mean, this is a Notre Dame grad who was coached by one of the greats in the Canadian Football League, Tom Clements. So he definitely has the ability to make it happen for Winnipeg, and boy, he sure does it on that play, hitting Milt Stiegel for the big 60-yard catch on the corner route. And you know what? He had time to throw.
McDougal won 1 game, beating Saskatchewan last year by a point.
And what a game it was. He passed for 258 yards in the game, had a touchdown, and he rushed for 82. So he's got all the skills. He's got all the ability to be able to run and throw. One of those mobile quarterbacks.
Out of Notre Dame, as Glenn mentioned.
Spent 1994 on the practice roster with Winnipeg. Didn't get a lot of playing time that year. 95, as we mentioned, played in 3 games. Had the big one against Saskatchewan. And one of those guys that Cal Murphy wants to develop. Knows he has all the tools, all the skills to be able to play. Just needs some playing time to be able to go and show it. And when you have a coach at college like the guy like Tom Clements, you got to learn something. And now he's got pretty good offensive mind in Ken Austin right there to help him out from the sideline. Of course, he's injured, as the concussion will be out until their next game. And there's Reggie Slack, who has definitely been on the run for this entire football game.
He's taken a beating. After a 60-yard gain, McDougal has a first down. And that one is tipped and picked out. Grabbed by Randolph. Not really the quarterback's fault on the interception by Randolph, but he takes it back near the 30-yard line. 29-yard return after the interception on Kevin McDougal's second pass.
I think Tracy Gravely got his hand on that football as it was going across the middle to Shannon Baker on the play coming in. You see Randolph's going to drop from his linebacker position. Now, he trying to look up a receiver downfield. He sees Baker, and then the ball's right there for him as Tracy Gravely tips it up in the air.
Well, it wasn't a good pass, but Randolph got a little lucky on the tip on the interception.
Well, it certainly was, because, you know, Kevin McDougal did put a good zip on that football. It was a little bit high, and Tracy Gravely, real nice leap to get his hand on the football, tip it up, and then Paul Randolph took the easy pick.
Couple of turnovers by the Bombers now. One by Montreal with 5:09 to go, 4th quarter. Tracy Ham with Baker and Stiegel as the wide. I'm sorry. Kralik and Williams is the wide receivers. Nigel Williams, and there's a marker down.
Too much
procedure call.
I want to go against Montreal, so they'll be in a 1st and 15.
Violation. Montreal still first down.
It's been a critical game for both teams. The Alouettes have the Argonauts and then the Tiger Cats next on their dance card. Cal Murphy and the Bombers go home Monday to host the Calgary Stampeders, unbeaten so far. It's a quick turnaround for Winnipeg.
Yeah, and you got to think the Calgary favor going in too, but I'll tell you what, just like we talked about Saskatchewan at home, Winnipeg equally as tough at home.
Michael Souls tiptoed through and then turned the power on 1st and 15. He almost got it all. And he might have it, in fact. We'll see where they spot it.
You know, Michael Souls has 86 yards coming into this game on the ground, and I bet you all 86 were just like that play, banging, crashing, pounding off people to try and pick up whatever he can. Last year when he was with Edmonton, he only had 352 yards rushing, and they were all hard, tough yards.
Nice little running game going for Montreal tonight. 163 yards. Dexter Dawson, who's in for Tyrone Rush.
Well, you know, Winnipeg defensively has done a pretty good job.
You don't run my way.
So here Angelo Snipes saying you don't run my way, but they've done a pretty good job on first down against the Montreal Alouettes, and Tracy Ham has just come out and converted on 2nd and long time after time.
So the penalty, they'll mark it as a 3rd down.
Colin Scribner, I think, is the injured Bomber.
Tough year for the Scribners.
Yeah, Glenn over there
Injured
in Edmonton.
Edmonton.
He's went over to Edmonton in the trade with Chris Vargas, Craig Hendrickson before the year started, and he got hurt after game 1, so he's been out ever since. And now his brother Colin down on the turf. Cal Murphy doesn't want to lose him.
So they're attending to Colin Scribner and Olympic Stadium. Game story brought to you by Menon Speed Stick, the 24-hour protection that just won't quit. Part of it was the Bombers' inability to rush the ball, Suits.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the key to this game, I think, is that the Bombers couldn't establish a running game, which allowed that front 4 Montreal defense to just pin their ears back and put tremendous pressure on Cal Murphy's quarterbacks. And it's awful tough to block them up when they know that they don't have to worry about the run.
I think there were a few who bought into the 2-for-1 sale tonight.
I don't think the hats were the only thing they bought 2 for 1.
Now, what kind of a weird hat did you wear to Lions games when you were at Simon Fraser?
Well, it had to have, when I went to Lions games, it had to have some sort of umbrella on it because it was at Empire Stadium and it was usually raining. So that was back when I used to attend the Lions games. When I played, of course, we were in the Dome.
That's what I meant, when you were watching and wearing a funny hat to the ball game. Looks a little serious here now for Colin Scribner as they've brought out the buggy. A reminder, we've got baseball on the network tomorrow night. Labatt Blue Jays baseball with the Athletics in town against the Jays. Join us for the pregame at 7.
And the Blue Jays just make a big announcement today. If I'm not.
Cito gets an
Cito
extension.
gets another year, and so does
Carter. Right?
Carter, yeah.
Just heard that on the way over here. Expos are hoping to turn it around a little bit, too. They've been stumbling with a rash of injuries. And we'll be back at Olympic Stadium one of these days. They're back for a weekend series, if I'm not mistaken. Meantime, the Alouettes have livened the joint up here tonight with 32,000 fans on hand.
Well, they had over 30,000 for their opener against the Toronto Argos, and that was a great game. I mean, Toronto did win it, but it was a super entertaining game for the fans, and now they have over 30,000 to watch their team win on Guaranteed Win Night. And I mean, you can't ask for much more than that.
And it's the first possibility that the Alouettes have had a chance to win a game at Olympic Stadium. They're up by 19 with 4 minutes to go, so there's still lots of time for Winnipeg to get a few points on the board, but this one feels a little bit comfortable to Baker and his mates right now, I'm sure. This is the other Baker, Shannon for Winnipeg. Shannon Baker out across the 35. 7-yard return. There's a lot left over from the Baltimore Stallions, but they've had to make a lot of adjustments here. This is how the Stallions dominated the Blue Bombers in the playoffs last year. That was actually 94. And then in 95, there was another win, and this one at Winnipeg Stadium, as Baltimore went on to the Grey Cup game and won at Taylor Field over the Stampeders. Good hit by Harold Nash.
Hello. Oh, Harold Nash got up like it didn't hurt him, but he felt a little bit of that one too.
Myron Wise, number 89, on the receiving end, but Nash might be the more seriously shaken up here.
It looks like he's trying to get his wind a little bit. He's not holding any area of particularity. He's got to come out now because the trainers have come out on the field.
Dave Ritchie, the defensive coordinator.
You're going to see a pretty nice hit. Myron Wise comes out to the flat, and Nash is just sitting out there in the zone waiting for him to come out to him. You see him right at the bottom of your screen to the right, and he'll just step up and whoa.
Hat to hat. Helmet to helmet.
You know, you see those hits when the guy's feet fly up and he does like the helicopter in the air. They look good, but they're not all that hard. Those hits like that one right there are solid. And you see Myron Wise is also down on the play because those are solid hits. I mean, both players have their feet planted on the ground, and when they make contact, really nothing can give. I mean, it's just...
It was a delayed reaction from Myron Wise because he was standing a second or two ago, and now he's gone down on one knee.
Yeah, I think for Harold Nash to come across and kind of delay that one as he walks into the middle, he was trying to say, that didn't hurt me at all, and then he kind of kneels down and said, well, maybe just a little bit. And both players look like they'll be okay and back in it, but good football play.
Still 3:03 to go in the final quarter. Montreal has really dominated in time of possession. McDougall in for Slack, and that's the second interception, and a nice little bounce to Gravely. Gordon picked it off. Gravely carried it inside the 15.
Well, Kevin McDougall has the all-time completion percentage lead in Notre Dame history, but that was playing on the smaller field. When you throw that wide field out, it's a long throw in the Canadian Football League.
3-minute warning at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. The Alouettes have lots to celebrate with a 29-10 lead.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. There's a prize for every touchdown and interception during TSN telecasts. Prizes like MasterCard Traveler's Checks from Bank of Montreal, Mikasa Stoneware and the Lifestyle Pattern, Minolta Compact Zoom Binoculars, or Timex Watches with Indiglo Nightlight. Or win a trip for two to Puerto Vallarta courtesy of Canadian Holidays, Canada's largest vacation company. Safeway feature products, Old El Paso Kits, YoPlay Yogurts. Touchdown to Win at Safeway, today's better way.
As if you need another reason to go to the Keg Steakhouse.
Introducing the Keg's Really Cool Car Contest. Visit the Keg Steakhouse and Bar between June 24th and August 4th and fill out a ballot to win a 1929 Model A hot rod or a Keg gift certificate.
You drink Pepsi, you collect points. You get Pepsi stuff. Pepsi stuff. People who drink it get it.
Charlie Gordon celebrating an interception for the Montreal Alouettes. Got a little help from Tracy Gravely to haul it the rest of the way.
It's his third of the year, and that puts him in a tie for second in the CFL. Charlie Gordon knows how to get around the ball. He was in the zone, tried to pitch it out to Tracy Gravely. Got the lucky bounce there.
Look at Gravely.
Trying to look like a running back.
With the footwork there, trying to be a running back. He was going all the way. Ham on first down. time in the world. Touchdown. 2 for Jock Climbing.
Receivers downfield. Jock Climbing finally found some open area in the back of the end zone for the 6 points. But hey, you give Tracy Ham time like that, and he'll tear you apart.
He had time for a coffee back there. Jock Climbing, a couple of touchdowns tonight. That was his 5th reception. He has 97 total yards.
Well, in 4 games coming in, he had 164. So you think they're going to leave him inside for the rest of the year?
Looks pretty comfortable there, doesn't he?
I mean, look at the time Tracy Ham has. He steps up there, looks around, and finally finds Climbing in the back of the end zone. Hey, you can't cover all day when you get that much time. And Tracy Ham.
A couple of touchdown tosses and an 8-yard run for the other Montreal Major. Alouettes on top by 26 now, 36-10. Two wins in a row for the Alouettes. Shannon Baker out near the 35, and this scoring drive is pretty short and simple. Climbing in the end zone. One play later, the touchdown. Time of possession 18 seconds after the interception.
Yeah, it comes off that Charlie Gordon interception. Climbing finds the back of the end zone. Keeps working back to help out Tracy Ham, who had all day.
375 yards in total offense for the Alouettes. Bombers trying to get to 200. McDougal at quarterback.
Gary Rogers made a great play on the draw. This team has been fired up. That front four. I mean, we got to start thinking about defensive players of the game. Boy, it's tough to pick one when you're looking at the Montreal defense. Gary Rogers has had a great game. Grant Carter had another good game on the other side. Demetrius Maxey has put some pressure up front. You know, I mean, it's tough to pick one.
Heat on McDougal. Milt Stiegel was the closest Bomber receiver, although Boyko was in behind and might have had a chance.
John Kalin, the backup free safety, in there getting some time to play, and he was over there trying to help out and trying to maybe pick up his first interception.
2 minutes on the clock. Montreal on top, 36-10. Bomber quarterbacking situation is a little bit clouded. McDougal has tossed a couple of interceptions. Slack couldn't get the job done. Austin has struggled a bit and is on the sidelines watching this one because of a concussion. Cameron has been busy tonight. A one-hopper. High chasing Dexter Dawson back to the 27. And old Dex hasn't had any big returns tonight. K.D. Williams had him pinned and wouldn't let him up.
We know he's not happy the way this game turned out. He was pretty fired up coming in, coming off a couple of real good games, and see the kick by Cameron, and here's the fight. Two of the pretty good, one of the best special team players in the league. There's David Pitcher and K.D. Williams. They've been fighting all game. And with 1:48 left, they're still fighting.
That's WWF stuff. Michael Souls has had a nice night for the Alouettes offensively. 4 carries for 39, 3 receptions for 25. Kemp is in at quarterback. Montreal, handing off to Dexter Dawson.
So Bob Price can wrestle a little easy, huh?
I think so. The guarantee's in the bag.
Yeah. He doesn't look like he's wrestling easy, but
he wasn't all that impressed with guaranteed win night. I mean, coaches don't like that sort of stuff any more than players, do they?
Players don't even. Why give the other team more incentive? That's what we used to think, but it came through for him, and it helped because the fans are here.
Here's Kemp. Nice catch. Nigel Williams hasn't been used a whole bunch tonight. Climbey has been the big receiver, but Williams had a big week in the win last week.
A couple touchdowns versus the Lions.
Yeah, 130 yards on 4 receptions, a 60-yard touchdown included.
Really was the guy that sealed that win for Montreal last week. Got open deep on a couple of blitzing situations for BC and really had a great game. And speaking of great games, there's a offensive player of this one.
I think that's pretty radical, choosing the kicker.
Well, hey, when you're perfect on the night, there's not many times you can say, hey, I'm perfect.
And he's punted well as well. Baker takes it on the run. He's out to about the 42. Terry Baker, 5 for 5. Radically Canadian player of the game, Terry Baker. Good. On field goals of 42, 42, 47, 32, and 43. This guy had a pretty nice game too, Sue.
Hey, gets his own teammates. Paul Randolph comes in, has key interception late in the game. He had pressure all night on the Winnipeg quarterbacks. Did a really nice job.
I think Stiegel was the intended receiver. Reggie Slack watching again from the Bombers sidelines.
Well,
Didn't get the job done tonight.
You know, there's going to be a lot of people talking about whether or not Reggie Slack should play next week, but tell all those people out in Winnipeg to give Reggie Slack a little bit of...
Give him some slack.
Give him some slack on this one. I mean, he didn't have much chance to throw all night. He was on the run. He was being pounded. And, hey, it doesn't matter who's playing. When that happens, it's a long night for any quarterback. So cut Reggie some slack.
Yeah, okay. 2nd and 10 Blue Bombers. This is McDougall at the controls. He's thrown a couple of interceptions and had a couple dropped.
Well, that's the other side of the coin.
Sean Graham couldn't hang on there.
Both of them have had a couple of key drops early in the game on 2nd down conversions where the receivers had found 1st down territory, just like Sean Graham there dropped the football. So Ken Austin's telling him right now, hey, it's not your fault if you're getting that kind of pressure and guys are dropping the football. Not much more that we can do.
Bombers charter home tonight. They've got a short preparation time for their next game against Calgary Monday in Winnipeg. Here's Cameron. High kick coming down at the 25. And Dexter trying one more time to break one loose. He's got spaghetti for legs. A long run for not much of a return. We're on to Taylor Field on Friday night with the Argonauts in town against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And you're not joining us for that one, so who's going to beat up Ridgway on the golf course?
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Why don't you come in and do the sidelines?
Well,
you can sit upstairs and you can do the sidelines and talk to your old pals.
Last time I was out there, I got Ridgway a few times on the course, and I'm glad you brought it up because I know he's watching. Of course, he's retired from Saskatchewan. After a long and great career, and Jimmy Kemp had a lot of years before he decided to retire.
Kemp for his 2nd offensive sequence.
Alan Wetmore picks up a couple, huh? All the reserve guys playing now. Alan Wetmore, I think that's his 1st carry ever. Montreal this year.
Looks to my numbers that it is. Got another backup running back in the scheme of things for Baltimore. Leonard Jean-Pierre.
They're just going to end this one.
Kemp's ticking down the final 9 seconds.
Hey, the crowd's on their feet again in Montreal. Bob Price comes through, guaranteed win.
Smile, Bob.
Hey.
That's 2 in a row. You're back in it. 32,000 show up for the ball game. Most seem to have enjoyed it.
They sure did. Dancing in the crowd, a little smile.
So Bob Price gets the win. Alouettes over the Bombers big time, 36-10 at Olympic Stadium tonight. And it was nice to see the joint jumping for a change, wasn't it?
Great crowd, great night.
Play Safeway's Touchdown to Win. If your name appears below, you may have won a Daewoo 27-inch stereo TV or Timex His and Her Indiglow watches. Touchdown to Win ballots available at all participating